roles again. And I must have made some people uncomfortable again. It's people always gonna be uncomfortable when you talk about that. But anyway, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But see, the video that I came across was a 3-year-old video. And I'm gonna see if I can share the video.
Let me ask you guys a few questions before we get started. Aren't you tired of being flaked on, being ghosted? Don't you want your feet rubbed, your back rubbed? Don't you want your neck rubbed? Don't you want consistent sex? Aren't tired of being used for food, drinks? Aren't you tired of going on 3 and 4 dates and then the woman ghosting you like that and you're wondering, what did I do wrong? Aren't you? Aren't you tired of having to approach 100 women just to get 10 numbers? And out of those 10 numbers, you get 3 dates and you only sleep with 2. Horrible ratio, right? If you answer yes to those questions, give this video a like. Make sure you share it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Listen, I get this question often from my subscribers, and they say, Derek, you've been overseas. You served in the military. You've been to multiple countries. How was it? Should I get my passport? They ask me how the women are over there. Listen, it's night and day compared to American women, okay? Western women are damaged goods because they don't respect masculinity. They don't respect your authority. They don't want to please you. They don't want to serve you. They don't want to be submissive. See, women overseas, women in the Philippines, where I've been, women in Thailand, women in Hong Kong, Japan, where I was stationed in the military. Those women are over there. They like you. They want to be around you. You have to spend all types of money to keep them around. You don't have to do all these different things to impress them. There's no 3-date rule. There's no manipulation. Tired of getting ghosted and flaked on? I suggest you get your passport and go overseas. See, a man works too hard. See, that's where the frustrations comes in at. Because us men, we work so hard. We have businesses, we have work, we have school. And when we come in, what us men want is a woman who's pleasant. We don't want to get nagged. We don't want to get talked down to and manipulated. We don't want to sleep on the couch. See, there's no man cave overseas. You are the king. Women will treat you how you're supposed to be treated. I urge every man to get a passport. Ask yourself, what do I have to lose? Get out of your city. Get out of your little town. Get out of your state.
I agree with that.
Because women there are likely damaged. They've drunk the feminist Kool-Aid. They feel, I don't have to listen to a man. You will never have to worry about a home-cooked meal when you go to Thailand, when you go to the Philippines. You will never have to worry about a woman being uncooperative. You will never have to worry about a woman being hot and cold. One-word text messages, that's not going to happen. She's showing up late, that's not going to happen overseas. My experience was wonderful. I urge all you men to get a passport. What do you have to lose? Or you got to continue to complain and cry and whine about today's Western women, how they've been brainwashed. It's time to make steps. It's time to progress.
Yes.
Go to Dominican Republic. Go to South America. Wonderful places. If you have any questions about countries that I've been to, heck, shoot me an email. I can tell you about them. Go overseas.
I mean, he like named some
Get a
of the
passport.
most
Enjoy
impoverished
life.
countries.
Stop suffering with these American women. Yes, you might get some luck here and there, but guess what? The women overseas, they're far, far better. It's night and day. Let me ask you this before we end this video. Have you ever picked a woman up in America and just stood straight up with her, just like this? See, women overseas, they weigh average 105, 110 pounds. Women in America, on average, weigh 170, 175, 180 pounds easy. If you're trying to deal with a woman that you can pick up who weighs far, far less than you, I urge you, get your passports. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. Or you can sit and be miserable. It's your choice. There's no dating coaches overseas. Aren't you tired of the tests that you have to deal with when it comes to women? Aren't you tired of dealing with single mothers, overweight women, BBWs? You know you don't like that.
Gotta be two
That's
something
what
to
you
do
can
something,
attract
baby.
here, because the vast majority of women are overweight. Aren't you tired of listening to all the countless dating coaches? It seems like a new comes up every week. You know why? Because they know for a fact American women, Western women, make things intentionally difficult for the average man, for you.
So I listen. It's a long rant. One thing I want to address real
His hairline is the problem. I can tell you that now.
quick. His hairline making a sad
I mean,
face.
he looking like the original Black Ranger out here. What's going on?
That nigga's that.
But check it out. Check it out. What did he say? He said, damn, I forgot. He said something about first of all, the 105 pounds.
I mean,
105.
Asian people are smaller, period.
Bro,
what would you?
I'm 5'1".
First of all,
I would look so sick if I was 105 pounds. Like, that's not like what on what scale? Like,
yo, when he said there's no man cave overseas. First of all, I got mad. I enjoy my man cave. This is my little sanctuary. It's untouched by anything feminine. I don't want any feminine touch in here. It'll be some stuff in here if my wife had to come in here and touch it. I don't want it. She don't let me get my man cave. My man cave, I got 2 TVs on my wall. I got everything I want the way I want in here. The man cave is our sanctuary passport, bro. We enjoy this. This is our reward. You know what I'm saying?
He's saying y'all shouldn't need it. And that's like, no, everybody should have their own space in their home.
We want it. No, right. We want it. My grandfather had a half an acre to himself on the property that he owned. And my grandmother had the house. He had a whole shop back there. He had a shed back there. She had her garden and her greenhouse and her stuff. And he had everything he wanted. He didn't want to. This is what we want. This is we good. And then he said that ratio. He said, ain't you tired of going to meet 100 women, to only get 10 to go on 3 dates, and then you only sleep with 2? I said,
that boy down bad.
And you're not trying to hit on 100 women. No, you're not doing it. You're not.
Listen.
I guarantee that man. Look, that man said he military. You work with the women you sleeping with.
Most of them, yeah. You can.
So why are you seriously having a problem dating?
Right.
You go overseas to do it when you probably got women in your unit that would give it to you.
See, that dude there that's the dude that I was talking about. I wasn't talking about everybody that subscribed to this passport bro thing, but that type of nigga.
Him.
That's who I was talking about. That nigga right there. That's who I was talking about.
Look, I don't know a single dude in the military struggling to get women. Not one. So if he was struggling to get women here in the United States, baby,
it's something to be said about that, because that's a good one.
So look,
they see TRICARE and be like, oh, Depender. Look, I don't know a single military man struggling to get a woman. Like none. No race.
So he's gone overseas and he's had an experience. And in some parts of the world, overseas women, there's a path of resistance that isn't as difficult in the US. And I explained this in my reel that rubbed some people the wrong way. In parts of the world that are less developed, the people in general are a little bit more desperate. It just is. This isn't a debate. When you come from a part of the world where the water that we consider potable is cleaner than the water that those people would consume. When they got rolling power outages in some part of the world, like, are we seriously dating parts of the world that are so borderline impoverished and somewhat third world? Like, are we comparing those women to those here? Yeah. Why would we compare that?
You know that you don't hear Spain, you don't hear France.
No. They don't.
You don't hear Germany.
They don't say Europe. No, they don't say Europe. They don't say Europe.
Right.
You hear Asia and South America.
Yeah. They're consistently talking about those particular parts of the world. So it is what it is. I mean, feel whatever way about it.
You add military on it, of course you're going to the whole GI system. I mean, like that was a thing back during Vietnam and the Korean War. Like, come on, sir. You're not getting no. Of course.
He's talking about like it's something new.
Yeah. And he was like, I encourage you. I'm telling you, it's nothing new. It's nothing new.
It's been happening since the 60s, baby.
India Adobe just said, definitely not here in Germany. She just said, definitely not here in Germany. Thank you. Like, listen, we get it. You're listen, there's no way. So we know why it is. We know what it is. And for all of you dudes that think that people are just piling up on passport bros who are just minding their business, let me be clear. That video right there that I just posted, that was a video from 3 years ago. 3. And he's saying what he said. So you don't get to divest and make public declarations and people not have something to say about it. There's a live right now. I'm talking on this live. People are going to come on this live and have something to say. That's what's going to happen. It's public. It's in the public world. That's just what it is. So passport bros, if you don't want people to say anything about what you're doing, you should have done it and shut up about it.
Simple as that. And did that nigga have a book back on?
You said what? He had a
book bag on?
Yeah, he had a book bag on. Yeah.
This nigga was a walking parody. like, dude, like everything about you is wrong.
This is why you're talking to 100 women and only getting 10 numbers. You are the problem. You are the weakest link.
It's you, man. Like I said the other week, man. If everybody else is the problem, then it's you.
It gotta be.
You're the problem, man. And I was telling my wife the other day that I learned early on that after rejection, I had to take a step back and reassess the experience, so I can determine where exactly I went wrong at. Because I'm not gonna blame the chick for rejecting me. It's something that wasn't appealing to her, maybe. What was that? Something that I said that may have been stupid or just turned her off. Okay, what did I say? What was that? I was unsuccessful. She wasn't, because I was shooting my shot at her. I'm not gonna shoot a 3-pointer and miss the goal and say that's a carnival rim. No, my shot was off. You know what I'm saying? So, and I told her that it worked wonders for me. And I learned something that I call that situational awareness, to where I don't just go straight in and let you know that I'm gunning for you. I'm gonna build a general conversation, either including what you're doing, being inquisitive about what you're doing, or what's going on surrounding us. You know what I'm saying? And work that in the conversation and build a general conversation. And then if the conversation is interesting enough to her, then it's gonna lead to, hey, what do you mean? Blah, blah, blah. Let me get your number. We can, holler, we can finish the conversation later on. Blah, all that. So once I started doing that, my wife thought I was just being conceited, but I'm not. It's just reality. When I was out there, I didn't strike out much.
Mm-hmm.
But what you just said was situational awareness. See, when you understand social cues and you have some social awareness, what you start to be able to determine is when you walk in a room, you know who's checking for you and who ain't.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get an awareness for stuff like that, So you don't even have to play the numbers game. You don't have to go shoot your shot at 100 women when you start to get a familiarity with the type that gives you the time of day. And you don't get mad at the type that does not give you the time of day. And look, the ladies, y'all can't weigh in on rejection much because it's really, y'all can, but not from the same standpoint as men, because men are out there hunting and getting shot down. And you listen, you
we
live
can tell
with
y'all why you're getting shot down. It's literally just what you said. It's the vibe. If I'm into you, you're going to know it. Period.
Right.
Women don't mince how they feel.
Yeah.
And a lot of men think they do.
He said he was being manipulated. He said overseas they don't manipulate.
If you're at a point of being manipulation, then that woman ain't feeling you and you falling and you ain't catching it.
He said overseas they don't manipulate. They don't play games.
The manipulation sounds like the level of it sounds like the desperation is equal.
Exactly. That's the manipulation. That's the manipulation.
The desperation is equal until they get back to the States. Once she get back to the States and realize she can do better than you, bro, you on a time.
She's sending money back to family. Then the whole family got to move over here.
Wait, hold on. I know what I wanted to mention that he addressed. He said overseas you don't have to deal with baby mamas, bro. I posted a statistic the last time we had this discussion. 84% of the women in Brazil have children out of wedlock. 84% of children are born. I think it's 84% of the women have children out of wedlock. If I'm not mistaken, I have to run that back. Dude,
no,
when you're going overseas,
kids were born out of wedlock, not the women.
Yeah, when you go over there, you're laying up with somebody's baby mama. Like, stop. Like, bro, come on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. I get it, man. I get it. Let's just call it what it is. It's not
He's tired of getting shot down. He's tired.
But he's shot down because of that hairline. I'm just
bald.
He just be bald because he got decent head shape. And bald is that top tier. When your head kind of fugly, you go straight bald. It's like, oh, I don't know why bald men are more attractive, but they just are.
I'm getting there.
Let me block him out of the damn video.
Don't do it like that. Your hairline still intact, Manuel, so you okay. But when it starts looking wiggly and weird, just let it go, bro.
That bullshit. Look at him. KG Delaney told him, yeah, we are. This is some.
Boy, know what's up,
man.
All men are it. Look at Howie Mandel. How he went from that curly Jufro to bald, baby. Howie Mandel came up.
That's that bullshit. I feel some kind of way about it, but you know what? It is what it is. That's what y'all want to believe.
You ain't there yet, now. Well, you okay?
Hey, I'm all right. I'm out the league. What I want. Okay. One thing I did. So I made a post last week, and I asked. What are things that men say that, so I placed the post, I said, women respond like a man. And the question was, I'm getting into bed. And the women had a whole laundry list of responses that men give. What are these? I think a lot of men, it's new to us that men give such cringe responses. If we don't do that, and if our peers don't, so my boy right here,
peers do.
Yeah, So for example, my boy right here, he's been married for almost all of his adult life. So he's not in conversation with women that are telling or saying this is what these dudes do. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is somewhat new information for us when y'all tell us. Because if I don't do it, and if my boys don't do it, and we're not aware, we can't check it. I can't be like, bro, you said what? Like, that doesn't happen. So what are some more of these things that men say that are just totally turn offs in a given moment? If y'all can give scenarios, if y'all can give them, what are these things?
One big one that I've seen come up a lot in recent
Without
years.
me.
Oh yeah, without you, that's a good one. Can I eat your booty?
What?
Oh yes, they come straight out the gate with it. And it's
Yeah,
like,
it's
you
true.
remember when
It's
this
so
used to be
true.
gross? You remember back like 10 years ago where dudes would be like, oh no, that's gross, but literally that's what they leading with now.
Damn, so
A stranger.
Yes,
Absolutely. They are
First
uncool
sight.
out here. They don't care.
I would have. I see. That's something.
I'm laying here smoking, thinking about you. Can I eat your booty? Yes, absolutely. They come straight out the gate with it.
But and that's a turn off.
It's a turn on. Should it be a turn on?
I mean. So okay. Give me context. Who is it? It's a turn off when it's a stranger, obviously.
It's a turn off when it's straight out the gate. Like it's
Yeah.
it's a turn off when we are not acquainted. We have not. We're still getting to know each other, and we're in that realm where you should be asking me the corny things. If anything, what's your favorite color? If it ain't gotten to, like literally at the point where we haven't even gotten in depth yet, and you just out the gate.
Okay.
It's
Like
no
you think
different
that's
than men. Go ahead.
I think that they think that that's gonna turn it up a notch. Like I feel like they think that is there's depth in that. You get past the surface shit, but it's a weird way of doing that. A weird way of taking it below the surface.
Yeah.
But it's
Them
true.
niggas throwing the big joke out early.
I mean, listen. Hey, you know what's
Who's
really mine?
complaining getting asked for bill money? Within a couple of days of knowing somebody. It's the same thing. Like dudes will literally be like, I just want to put my face in it. Face in what, sir?
From day one. From day one.
Absolutely day one. Like that'll be there. Hello.
What? Okay. So, how often does this happen? How often is the cringe thing said? Like if you can narrow it down and say what percentage of men out there do you think are going to say the cringe thing, the thing that just shouldn't have been said?
It's hard for me to give a percentage because I feel like while I have experienced that, it's been years since somebody's come out the gate and said that to me. So I will say that. So I feel like the percentage is pretty high, but I think the target is different now. I don't know if that is a 20-something thing because it hasn't happened. I say at least like 6 years, thankfully. But I know it's still a thing because women still talk about it. So I can't say the percentage though. What I think.
Okay.
For me, I'm in my 40s, and everybody on my page knows I'm married. That don't stop them. That doesn't stop them at all.
Should it?
I mean, you shoot your shot when you shoot your shot. You may or may not break. It is what it is. But the percentage is definitely high. It's higher than it should be. Because because we've been friends for a while, and I've said many times, I need y'all to stay out my inbox because it gets ridiculous. At one point, I was getting hit on like by different guys who I've been friends with on Facebook for years, like every day for like a good week. And this was just last year. And I'm like, oh, y'all kind of nasty. Like, well, I know you. And God forbid I talk about my previous history in BDSM. Oh my God.
Hey,
and it's like, have you done this? Have you done this? Can you do this to me?
And that makes sense because Nell Coleman just said single, married, it doesn't matter. People want what they can have. I think oftentimes the things that are either taboo or they definitely spark interest. And then again, people that are unavailable definitely seem to spark a little bit of interest.
Yeah.
Who should men, golly, men, I think our nature is somewhat inappropriate. That's kind of like our default position a lot of times. But I think knowing when to say what and to who, how do we not know these things? How do we not know these things? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know when I became aware of what to say when and to who. But I know there was a certain point, probably before adulthood, I kind of figured it out. Why don't men know? Do they just not care, or do they not? I
don't think they care. I don't think they care. I think they know. And I think they know they push. They just don't care.
Right.
They run the numbers.
Or let me give y'all some pushback. Y'all know men don't try anything that's never worked.
That's why I said they running the numbers. Oh well, it's worked on one.
There you go. All it has to do is work.
It's gonna work on somebody else. But the somebody else it works on is like, okay, you got to look back at the first person it worked on. What happened there?
And not only that, what are, not saying that, like, you know, you can have not necessarily the same type, but where are they in comparison? What caliber, you know, you gotta be on the right playing field. Like, make it make sense.
No, okay, wait, hold on. I'm gonna respond to what Desi just said. Okay, honest moment. There are certain things I tried with a certain caliber. Period. Like there is absolutely women that I've avoided when I knew I'm on this kind of time right here.
Yeah.
And then 100%, like I've known, I've even had conversations. Hey man, you never shot your shot at heart. Like, nah, bro, I'm full of shit right now. That ain't gonna go the way I think it is. Because I know. And then there's one, I said, oh yeah. Then there's one, I'm like, oh, I can try that bullshit with her. It's gonna fly. You know what I'm saying? So I do think there are some men that are just shooting blindly. They don't care. They bloop, 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 bloop. They don't give a damn about who they hit.
They got a pickup game at the local rec center.
You know what I'm saying? But I do think, and Davida just said, and they pick according to women that display traits of previous victories.
Right. That's what I was just reading. Yep, that's true.
There you go. So they're like, it worked on this type before. I'm finna try it on this type again. And that's true. Absolutely.
I think most of them, they don't even try to discern the difference between who they try. She just got to be a woman.
Yep.
And that nigga
might not even have to be a cis one either.
Oh shit! Here we go. Oh come on, man! Come on, man! We see.
That's a conversation for another day, though.
God, did you just? Oh man! Listen, I talked about that one time too. The hypersexual nature of men. If you don't have control of that as a man, I do question what you will do. I did a video one time on this guy that was saying he was tricked by a transgender woman. And at first I'm like, hell no, he didn't get tricked. Ain't no way he knew what he was doing, blah, blah, blah. I'm going in. And then I sat and thought. I sat and like, okay, because I'll have a knee-jerk reaction to something. And then I'll sometimes sit and think about what I said, right? And me and you were talking about it, Sam. I said, you know what? Has there ever been a moment where I've been so caught up in a moment to where I made a decision just about a person, a woman in general, that I thought was questionable? Like, would I have otherwise left this particular type of woman alone, period? So I'm like, okay, so what's the level of desperation to where you no longer even question whether she was born a woman? What's the level of desperate? I'm not saying that all men that get down with trans women have to be desperate. I'm just saying there's a hypersexual nature in men to where if push comes to shove, they just be like, you know, hey, man, if it look like, smell like, I'm finna find out what it feel like. And they boom, they gone with it. That's a dangerous place to be. So men that don't have an element of control to their sexuality and to their sexual exploits, they can be dangerous. Those can be some dangerous dudes.
Yep.
I'm gonna let y'all have this conversation. This part of them, let y'all have that.
See, listen. My boy right here. Listen, I don't have a whole bunch of moral and ethical high grounds. I don't. Marvin said he's stupid. He said if that Bama tricking in Thailand, you better be. Boy, they get lost in Bangkok. Bangkok is called that for a reason.
They real tiny. They be 105 pounds too.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, talk about it.
He one of them petite dudes. It don't even matter. All Asians are small. You ain't gonna know. You know. But so I don't have a bunch of moral and ethical high grounds. I am who I am. My man right here, he can speak toward discipline that I just never had, especially as a younger man. And so when he says, I ain't worried about that, because man, he just moved different. He's a better man than most. Some of us, man, nah, there's little decency. So I've been trying to stop it because I'm a hypocrite. I'm already owning it. This idea of this poly thing, it's not new, but it's constantly being thrown around, right? And recently, I saw a video, and I'm gonna try to grab it, but y'all can speak on it. Of a dude, and he was okay with being a brother husband. So the woman, she had 2 men, and they weren't seeing each other. The men weren't into the men. They were literally there for her. And when I thought about it, I'm like, man, hell no. I'm instantly judging these guys. Instantly judging them. I'm judging them like, nah, bro, they ain't real men. What man is gonna go for that? They full of shit. They whack. They lame. Anything you can think, I'm throwing it at them. I'm just not letting them make it. Is that a problem among men when we have these conversations about polygamy, polyamory, whatever the case may be?
First, I think we need to kind of define things, because a lot of people have misconceptions of poly lifestyle. And being that I've delved into this for quite a long time, that's what always burns my biscuits, because people just use the terms wrong. Polygamy and polyandry is all about marriage. That's polygamy is when a man has multiple wives. Polyandry is a woman has multiple husbands. Polyamory is just loving multiple people, which is, I think, where a lot of people need to be. But these social media influencers popping up with this whole marriage concept, and it's like, I don't think everybody needs to be married, because it's not necessarily necessary. But I don't think people should put the brakes on romantic relationships being only with one person when we love multiple family members, we love multiple children, we love multiple friends. But why is romantic love the only one when you can only love one person? That doesn't make sense.
Right. The heart definitely has the capacity to love multiple, for sure.
So
mine
I
don't
necessarily like the marriage thing, marrying multiple people.
Say that again.
Mine don't.
Speak on it. Speak on it.
Man, hey, being a man is dealing with one woman. Dealing with one woman has been a full cup. And a lot of times that cup overflow just with one woman.
Let me tag his woman to the live so I can hear that. Tag. Go ahead.
She knows she a handful. No, but she good though. She a good handful. Handful in the right
clean
places.
that up real quick.
Yeah, handful in the right places. It's a lot dealing with just one. So, I can't possibly understand how someone can claim that they love 2 individual people romantically equally. You know what I'm saying? Like like your heart gonna lean more towards somebody.
True.
Maybe it's the first one because y'all built and established a connection first. So if you're nurturing this connection with the first one, how are you able to concentrate on building equal connection with somebody else when you got to spend time to nurture and maintain the connection with this first one? So somebody is going to be lacking somewhere. And being men, that has been married or been in long-term relationships, we know that when a woman is lacking something in one area, that's a problem. That's a big problem. So I don't understand how they can juggle the affections, the time, the sex, and whatever else that we um, deal with within relationships, romantically. And then my second point is, I'm gonna make this one real quick. I don't buy the whole "it's for community" thing. I understand, like back in olden times when there was less men and more women because of men dying in wars and all this stuff, or famine or whatever. I can understand it then, but now when there's equal opportunity of employment and women having the ability to sustain themselves, then what community are you building? I think it's like you just want somebody to help you change these diapers.
You don't.
So
Okay. I will say this. I know Chanel has something she wants to add in there. But one thing I will say is there's a really big misconception about polygamy around the world. There's this idea that, now I'm talking about polygamy marriage. I'm not talking about, a man having affairs outside of that. I'm talking about actually having multiple wives. There's this huge misconception that it was just so common around the world, that it was just regular, that you had to literally be able to afford that. And in certain parts of the world, the only way you can have two wives is if you can house two wives separately. In Islam, I believe, and in some parts of the Middle East, those nations, yeah, you can have multiple wives. As long as you got multiple houses to put them in, they can't all be under one roof. So there's a lot of history. There's a lot going on with it. I think when these things get thrown out and people say, well, back in the day, men used to be able to have multiple wives. Bro, you looking at the Bible. Get out of here. You're looking at exceptions in history, and we don't even know the truth behind that. But go ahead, Chanel. I want you to weigh in on that because I know you want to respond to something for what you had to say.
Well, like we were saying earlier, it's just like, when you're actually speaking about being polyamorous, it's no different from loving multiple people, and you have these different connections and different ways that you are connecting with each person. Like she mentioned earlier, like with friends. I have friends that I can go, have a drink with. I have friends that I want to go to the library with. You have these different ways that you connect with that person, and it's the same with romance. Me and you connect in this way, so that's what we do. When we're together, we sharing that. We feed, the love in that way, and you're thinking in the mindset you are okay with being, monogamous. That's your mindset. That's your preference as far as your marriage and lifestyle. So naturally, you focused. But if you have really tapped into the idea of sharing and being open and expressive in that way and loving on multiple people, then you're open to the idea of it being an actual thing. You're not open to that idea, so you can't imagine giving love in that way. And that's, and I personally haven't, I'm not poly, but I still understand, so that's mainly what I wanted to say about, what you were saying about it not making sense to love multiple people and be connected, and somebody's going to love one more. No, the connection and level of understanding is going to be different within each exchange.
Yeah.
Mark, quick question.
Okay.
Could you manage two wives?
I interviewed a polyamorous couple earlier on when I first started the channel. And I tell you, it sounds good, but when you actually ask the questions and go through how the day-to-day motions go and everything else, I salute the guy that I interviewed, because it is a lot. It's a lot, man. You got to deal with two ladies and their feelings, their emotions, and everything else. He's got a decent setup because one of them is, I guess, just really kind of, just introverted and doesn't really, I don't know.
We talking
but
about
they all seem to have a good connection. Speaking to Sam's point, I'm gonna throw just another angle out because it's just like when you have kids, like when I had my first child, then when we got pregnant with the second child, I was scared because I was thinking like, do I have any more love left to give to this second child? But then when the second child came, there was just a whole nother set of a whole nother, basket of love there for that child as well. So, you can definitely love more people than just one. But, for me personally, it seems like it's a lot of work, man. I got to tell you.
Could you be a brother husband?
Oh, absolutely not. Like now, that's just completely unnatural. That's just completely unnatural. Come on now. Listen. We said this the other time. Well, we said this the other time. So if a woman, so think about this just in nature and just biology before all this modern technology and everything.
Here you go.
If a woman had multiple husbands, and she got pregnant, nobody would know who the father is. So it's just nature completely doesn't design it to work that way.
It's a community trophy.
If a man has 4 wives and he gets all 4 of them pregnant, you know who the daddy is because he's the only man in the equation. So it's just it doesn't work. It doesn't work the same way. I hate when people try to make it work even.
Okay.
Not how it works.
So here, listen. I don't think in any scenario 2 wives. No, there's no way I could have done that. For the same reasons the brothers expressed. I'm a focused person and I'm pretty selfish. So to try to be what I perceive to be as a husband to 2 is just a task I would never take. Now, if we're talking about polyamory, whereas I can choose how much to give to whom, that's different because the level of responsibility in polyamory to me is much more open-ended and is much more open to discussion than the responsibility as a husband. There's an objective measure and there's a responsibility to being a husband. So I wouldn't want to be a husband to 2 women. Absolutely not. Could I be a brother husband? Hell no. Ain't no goddamn, ain't no way. Listen, how I'm gonna lay up in the bedroom while she up in the bedroom with Leroy. She in the bedroom with Leroy right now. And where am I sleeping?
So listen, Manuel. Hold on, real quick.
Am I in the bed? I'm sleeping in this room, and right now I'm doing a live, and Leroy. I can tell
you. So, just within this past week, I had an interviewee. She's now homeless, but she was married. She's actually still technically married. They never got divorced. Long story short, 10 years into their marriage, she got a boyfriend, and shortly thereafter moved him into the house. And so for the next decade, he lived in the house with them. Now the husband, well, I don't know. The husband, these people are like in their like 50s, mid 50s, 60s type deal. So the husband apparently never, I guess, acknowledged that he knew that they were having sex. But I mean, clearly, he never acknowledged it. So she said, Robert never spoke on us. He never spoke on it as though she was proud of it. Like, so it's just to say that you'll be surprised what the stories are out there, man. Like,
listen, what people can do does not necessarily shock me. What I can do is I'm pretty sure of, and there's no way Leroy gonna be laid up in there, and I'm not getting to bed. Now. Compare that to being a side guy. That's different because as a side guy, I have a role. It's very specific. I ain't got to be in the house. I never got to meet this guy. But a brother husband, like she come home from work, and me and him in here watching Sports Center, and what is she gonna do when she come in the door? She gonna come kiss him then me, or is she gonna come kiss me then him, or is it gonna be two kisses? How?
So
there's no way.
I'm very familiar with this.
Ain't no group hug.
Being in the lifestyle, in every instance that I knew of a woman who moved her boyfriend into the house, they end up divorcing. The husband and the wife end up divorcing. Every single one. And you can go through FetLife right now and you'll see hundreds and hundreds of these stories. The thing that people do that with the whole, well, it's a village mindset. We gonna split bills. We gonna do this, blah, 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 blah. Splitting bills is one thing, because yes, you do save some money, but the dynamic of the household changes because neither of these men have a place to call their home. They're fighting for territory in this space. So for me, being poly, I'm not gonna mince. No, y'all probably would never even know each other existed, because I need each.
Wait, back up. Repeat that.
They probably wouldn't even know each other existed. Not to the point that I'm lying and cheating. Now that's
right. I was about to say, you're saying like date separately, like they don't meet each other. You know, I got somebody, but you don't have to know
together real well on that one. You see how quick Chanel had.
No, it's literally like, I'm going out of town this weekend for work. That may be the weekend that I'm with my other guy too at the same time. So I'm not going to sit there and like say, well, I'm going out with my dude this weekend, blah, 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 whatever. I'm not going to be that messy with it, because I don't want either man to feel like they come second, even though there is a pecking order. My husband will always come first.
Hold on. Marvin said, imagine you come home and brother husband playing your Xbox in your road.
On a bad day. Imagine it was a bad day at work. A tough day at work. You come home to that.
Imagine if you having a bad day, she picks the other one first when she come home.
I want to go get on the Xbox, or I want to get on the PlayStation and get him around the Madman, and he in here chilling, drinking a beer, and I'm
ate the leftovers too that you was gonna get from her.
What I gotta do? Hey, bro, can I get next? It ain't a goddamn barbershop. I ain't making a reservation.
Yeah, I'm not cool with that. That's why I don't like the whole polygamy, polyandry thing. Because just like you said, with the men, they keep their women in separate houses. That's the only way it can work, is keeping folks in separate houses. People need to have their space where they feel in control. Jealousy exists. It does, even in poly.
I have to check my Facebook. I don't know how many groups I'm still in or kicked out of, but I was in a polyamorous group because the topics of discussion were so interesting, because the success rate was not high. Every single time you read something, you read about once they start nesting, once they start living together, once that part happens, that's when stuff starts to unravel. Women are territorial, men are territorial. Affection becomes, it just becomes something different. And these are people.
I'm poly, Marvin.
And these are people. These are people that usually started off with an open relationship dynamic, and one of the
Marvin said, "You know too much about this."
Been here, done this. Like I've tried the trials and tribulations.
So, what was that your situation with your husband?
I'm not going into detail about that.
Smart woman, damn. That's real.
I would just say I have navigated the poly lifestyle in a couple of realms for a while.
Okay, well, I mean, we just want to learn. We all want to gain some understanding.
Because I can share what's the good parts, what's the bad parts, what to look out for. It's all about maturity and communication. Those are the two major things. If you can communicate about what's going on and be honest, that's a big one. Honesty. If you can't hack it, then don't. That's okay.
Did y'all go into the marriage looking to be that way, or did it develop once the marriage already started?
Not going to go into detail about that. I will say that I have navigated in and out of poly relationships since I was in my mid-20s.
How long was your longest poly relationship?
About 2 years.
So okay, yeah. I mean, the throuple that I interviewed have been going on for now 6 years strong. They've been going on for 6 years strong. So they go on vacations together. They do, you know, they have separate date nights, together date nights. They do all the stuff. So, you know, for it to have a low success rate, they're doing their thing, man. They're kind of, you know, I guess Thomas is a quirky individual and he's a cool guy. And you know, the ladies are both, you know, I guess suited perfectly for it.
You know,
the low success rate comes in because a lot of women end up being forced into poly relationships because
that's what happened. That's what happened. That's what happened with theirs.
That's almost always when it's problems. So for them surviving for 6 years, I commend them.
Let me listen. I will not give details. The interviewer bet not ask. I mean, he kind of knows.
That's what I do.
So okay. So I have an experience. I won't go into deep details because maybe this will be a memoir one day. Who knows? I've done the dual date thing. I've done the we're all three going to go on a date. What led to that and how all that ended, I won't go into details about. But I can definitely say that it was extremely strange because there was a moment where one woman had to tell me to pay attention to the other woman. So I'm over here putting in work and I'm leaning a little bit and she like, hey, I'm like, oh shit. I didn't know.
You didn't know how to do it.
She told me to check on her. And so the next time we were out and about, I was able to move and groove. But it didn't really fit because I didn't like having to be aware of two.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be aware of two. That's just not where I wanted to go. And that situation came about due to me stepping out and some other things. And then we all tried to like put this little pie together and it wasn't going to work. There was no way it was going to work. It definitely blew up. I'm definitely glad to be alive and have survived that situation.
For some, it works if the women can vibe. Like if a guy has a type and the two women that he's dealing with are fairly alike, a lot of those women become friends.
They did become friends. They did become friends. And then eventually I had to go. I had to go. I had to go. And so I don't knock anybody for it. But the brother-husband dynamic, I do see men respond to it oftentimes different than they respond to the idea of sister wives. And we judge those men different. Like we don't judge those women the same way we judge those men. We judge those men. We say one of them got to be a sucker. Or
why would we though?
Huh?
Why would we judge men the same way that we judge women?
No. I'm saying we look at it. We look at it like, and I'm not saying why wouldn't we. I'm just saying we do. It's like, and some people find that to be. Some people find that to be hypocritical, and it's because I don't look at a woman necessarily as a sucker if she's a third in a relationship, but I look at a dude as an absolute sucker if he's saying I'm willing to share my woman and I'm willing to lay up in the same bedroom. Like, bro, come on, man.
Nigga, you whack.
Yeah.
I mean, you got some dudes who like that that kind of cuckolding thing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I always call them
that works for them.
I call
you got men who like that to be submissive to a woman in that way, and that's how it manifests. No. Mm-mm.
I feel like sometimes in these dynamics, I haven't really encountered many men that are willing to be with one woman, but I've seen women, and I think that women are willing to like be manipulative to weasel their way in a situation because they have the desire from one of the other people. I actually know a married lesbian couple where one of them is not poly and the other is, and the one that is not is accepting. So, you know, she can date out and sometimes they come together and, you know, have a threesome or whatever. But the other one, she's monogamous. She like, you go do your thing, but I'm gonna be at home. And so when she opened herself up to, you know, actually sharing a girlfriend and, you know, dabbing into that part outside of just the sexual side, you know, her wife had to remind her, like, you know, our girlfriend feels neglected by you. And they end up learning the girlfriend wanted to be with the one that wasn't poly. And she like, look, I ain't trying to juggle y'all. I just want my wife. If you like her, you do your thing. And it was just a whole messy thing. Because like I said, the third wheel, essentially, wanted the one that wasn't poly. It's like, you only involved in this situation so that you can get to someone in it, you know, and it's not a genuine love and a genuine connection amongst the three.
That's why you keep all of that mess separate. You had your
Separate,
pecking order
separately.
You at the top. You had your number 2. If you can manage 3, 4, and 5, it is what it is.
Just
but
get
the you keep all of that separate, that's when you can be okay.
Just
and if you and your partner are both poly and you set down the rules, okay, we have our date night, we have this, don't be spending no money, don't do this, don't do that with the other person, no babies, no diseases, I don't need to meet her, you don't need to meet him. Keeping that stuff separate is how you keep the peace, because jealousy absolutely still happens in poly relationships, even when people know. So when you add the element of all of these energies are in the same space, you just waiting on a bomb to go off. Because it's not always going to work out. Personalities clash. People feel like, well, I have to sit here and be second tier to this, that, and the other.
Oh, she froze up.
Keep people in their place. This is where you are. Stay in your place. We're not commingling. We ain't showing up at the barbecues together. None of that.
It sounds like it's almost better for anybody that wants anything extra to just have a side person.
That is what it is. That's exactly what it is.
So you're saying that's what I'm talking about. So that's the difference. The lady shaking their head.
No, but the difference is actually being honest enough to say I do have a side person versus just cheating.
Oh,
just cheating. That's just being straight old dishonest. You don't even have to do that. Just say, look, I would like a little piece on the side. And then your wife might say, you know what? I wouldn't mind a little piece on the side too. Let's set down the rule.
No.
See, there you go.
And a lot of men are judgment. A lot of men who say that they're against poly. I'm not saying you guys, but there are men that feel like that's the idea of that is ridiculous, but they'll cheat. Yeah. You know, it's like
literally all you got to do.
There are men that will vocally say that doesn't make sense. My dad, he's like, I don't understand that poly shit. But you ain't never been faithful. So why don't you get it?
That's two different things.
You have a lot of women who are fine being monogamous and fine with you having a side piece.
I love them. Those are the guys.
I don't know about a lot. You got to be in the right tax bracket.
It ain't got nothing to do with tax bracket either. No,
No, it don't.
How y'all telling us?
No, that's cool. It don't.
No. I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing.
Us women talk to each other. We'll be.
It's not a tax bracket.
Are the bills paid? Are the kids taken care of?
So a nigga working at Walmart.
House straight. I don't care what he do. Long as
let me break it down, Frank.
Please.
So a lot of times there are these matter of fact, I'm going to say it's not said as much as it's thought about because women don't want to be judged for this idea. But there's a lot of women have the idea that as long as I don't feel neglected, as long as everything is taken care of, and as long as you don't embarrass me out here, and by embarrass me means don't go have no baby, don't go bring no disease, I don't want to know it exists, ignorance is bliss. There is that understanding that they won't even say, but it's implicitly understood to their significant other. I will be very open and honest and say this.
I've told every boyfriend I've dated.
Listen, I'm gonna be very open and honest and say this. I don't want to be cheated on. Don't do me like that. But if you do, please be good at it. Just be good. Like I don't want to be wise. I don't want to be hip to it. Like be slick, because the way I'm going to react to the known is way different than I conceive of the unknown. Ron could be in there right now. I've been on this live for 59 minutes. They could have been silently doing whatever. I don't know. And if she got away with that, and I didn't know, hey, I'm okay with that. But if I find out, that's where the problem is. So I know for me, I can rest in that, because that's just where I can rest. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people that can and do. They won't say it publicly because, like, man, hell no.
They'll say it to their significant other.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot to do
but
that.
Then they'll get in front of friends. Ain't never gonna. I fight and not no.
Yeah. Look at. Man, speak on it, Frank. Speak on it. Look.
I don't care what you do out there. Just don't let me find it.
Frank,
if I ask you about it, that means I already know.
Right. Speak
so
on it, Frank.
just don't have me out here looking stupid.
Speak on it, Frank.
It's just hard for me to conceive that a nigga that work at Quickie Mart can tell his old lady, hey, I want some on the side. And she'd be like, well, you know what? As long as I feel fulfilled on the inside. Like, if she working and paying bills also,
she probably
and
got
cooking
to do on the side getting her hair done.
Man, see, all this too much for me. Give me one woman. Let me be faithful. Let her be faithful. We raise these damn kids. We get them out the house. And we stuck with each other until we die. I need it that simple. I need it that plain.
You gotta factor in like the meme that's been going around for like 15 years. If you find out your husband been dating a woman and she pay all the bills, hey, you better go see her. Because I never forget my husband said one time, I said, you know what? These sugar daddies be in my inbox. He said, they buying anything? They buying you anything? If they do, get two.
Yo, no, listen. Let me tell you something. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, man.
It happens.
In my dating life, especially casual, I used to enjoy going out with a woman that knew how to work the room and be respectfully flirtatious. Hear me out. A woman that knows how to be respectfully flirtatious, knows how to flirt with the world, draw them in, but draw a line. Mm-hmm. You said, man, dude, I've been in spaces with the right woman to where I knew good and well I wasn't threatened by any other swinging flesh in the room. And I would sit there and get free drinks from men, couples, and we would get offers. And when we were just lit enough to decide we wanted to leave, baby, let's get up out of here. Let's Uber up out of here because we leaning and somebody gonna try to take us home. That is a whole different realm. And I never felt remotely threatened in that given moment. And some of the best nights I've ever had out of my life was sitting there where this woman just has this gravity where to a degree she is flirtatious. That there's a flirtatious nature to that. When a woman works the room, she's not just being professional. Don't get it twisted. She's not just being professional. It's nothing but charming.
She's a magnet.
Right. And it works. It works, and you will realize, bro, like it will gain you access to things that you did. And then the other part of it that takes it to another level is when those people realize, wow, she's that bright.
They can't have her.
And I can't even have her. I can't even touch her. Look at him.
Man,
I've had women flirt with my husband like right in front of me, and we'd end up with eating free, and I'd be like, girl, shoot your shot, hun, because he ain't going nowhere with you.
Not my wife.
But we gonna eat free tonight. Thank you. I appreciate you. These leftovers real good.
Not with them bohemian hands. No. Mhm.
I
Been a
And
bad-
you know, and some other women would be so bothered by it. I'm like, well, how could you let your husband flirt with other women? I'm like, at the end of the day, I know he's doing it to get us something.
Right.
It's not that he's actually trying to get numbers on the side or nothing like that, because he wouldn't do that. But we ate good like every time. He put that charm on him, and we got Ruth's Chris eating good, free steaks.
And we're back home with all that money in y'all pocket. All that money still in y'all pocket.
Yep.
I'm telling you, if you would have asked me at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, go all the way up through my 20s, and no, I would have been like, absolutely not. But I don't know, at a certain point, I just had an experience. I was 100% confident in who I was, 100% confident in who I was with. And I was just like, it's almost like it's very strange for some people to go to a Latin club and witness men and women dancing that ain't couples. Like they will exchange dancing partners. And me being from where I'm from, when a woman and a man dance that close, it means something. To them, it meant nothing. The best dance partners like to dance with the best dance partners. And a lot of times it meant nothing. It was just dancing. And so when I even had those experiences, that kind of was also one of those things I realized. Well, like, okay, I'm territorial, I'm dominant, I don't like nobody to bother mine. But then there's this little bitty gray area where I'm sure of her and sure of myself and everything else, to the point where I can relax a little and let things play out the way they will.
It's all about.
Sound like everybody like we all lifestylers except for old Frank here. Sound like old stuffy ass just ain't lifestyle. He's old stuffy.
You see this weather, don't
you? The whole
Frank,
debate.
you know what? I'm all right. I'm on pop mode. I want one. That's it.
And that's what it should
good.
be. The whole poly and monogamy debate should be a choice.
Right.
Yeah.
It shouldn't even be a debate.
Judgment.
It shouldn't even be a debate. It should be a conversation, and we're talking about choices. Right.
Here's what I prefer, because I know I'm gonna get to a point where I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this no more. I just want to sit at home, because I'm an introvert as it is. It's not like I've ever juggled more than 2 guys at a time anyway. There's limits. But you got, certain people, they got 4 and 5. You got that ADD.
Listen,
that's too much.
I will say that the time that consumes, the time when you're a bachelor and you have 4 dates in a week, just 4 dates in a 7-day period, and you're not one of these 50-50 date splitting. You don't believe in Dutch. You do things the way I did things. My budget, the money I could spend going out Taco Tuesday, Thirsty Thursdays, gotta do something on Saturday, and Monday Night Football. Like if 4 days and 7, I could watch my bank account drop dramatically. You know what I'm saying? And the time that was spent. And then can you even remember? Like, man, I'll never forget when I started repeating myself and trying to remember who I told what. I'm like, yeah, I ain't built for this. I ain't built for this. Mm-mm.
Most of the guys that I've seen juggle that many were homosexuals.
Oh, yeah. You gotta be.
So they were just bouncing from house to house to house.
That's what I'm talking about. I see. There's experiences I've never had that I wish that I would have been at least just didn't have standards and code, just so I can understand what it would feel like to go from one woman's house, pack my backpack or my plastic bag and my PlayStation, and go to the next, and go to the next, and and feel totally confident and comfortable doing that.
PlayStation for you. You wouldn't have to take
I wish I just could have experienced that just for a fraction of time so I can speak on it.
You wouldn't have enjoyed it. You wouldn't have even enjoyed it. I can't even see that.
You got some guys who are just uncouth.
Right,
they don't have enough self-respect to even care that managing that many women at once is not only hurting the women but hurting themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You don't strike me as that type of dude.
Well, one, I got a question. What do y'all think about men who move in to a woman's home. Not couples that move in together, but she got it. He's okay with money. He's fine. They get together and he just move into her crib.
Nope.
Depends. It depends on a couple of things. Like it's a case by case basis for me.
Okay, give me a case where it works.
She may have the larger home. Her house may be closer to the job or whatever. He may already be established and have a house, and they're going to rent out that house, something to that effect. From a business standpoint, I can see where it works. But if it's just you moving into her stuff, you might have come from an apartment to a house. I could see where she may be territorial, especially if she's been in that house for a significant amount of time, because women, when we create our spaces, that's our den, just like it's y'all had y'all man cave. Our whole house becomes our woman cave.
Yep.
So you coming in here and your dirty socks on my floor? Oh, wait a
telling
minute.
you right now, it ain't gonna work.
No.
You can't move in my place. We gotta get a place together. It ain't happening.
It's easier to just get a new place together.
Yeah.
I would not recommend it.
But
I would
if it's a financial thing and her house is just like significantly better and stuff,
then we can come together and I can make our home better. You're not gonna come and get cozy because my home better. Like I can't. No.
Hey Frank, why shouldn't he move in? Why wouldn't you recommend it?
It'll never be his. Right. And not saying that it needs to be solely his, but it'll never. And if he's a man, then it's not gonna feel like it's his to himself. So that's gonna breed a sense of inadequacy. You know what I'm saying? So
who else she done slept with in here? And all
man, everything need to be new. Everything.
Somebody bent her over this countertop.
Okay. Would you recommend to a man that is actually down and out and he just need to get on his feet?
Go to your mama.
Shelter, nigga.
So listen. Brothers, there's this thing called a down and out chick. She's not a woman that you would date ordinarily. She's not somebody who you would get in a serious relationship. You might not want to be seen with her in public. However, before you go sleep on a park bench, before you go sleep in a shelter where people can steal your stuff, before you go back to your parents, use the down and out chick until you get on your feet. You know what I'm saying? It's like a booster program. It's like preschool. It's whatever you want to be. It's the means to an end. I'm not going to judge you if you get with the down and out chick, and then when you come up, when you finally breaking through, you go get a haircut, you go get some new threads with the money you stack, and you go get who you want, and y'all moving to y'all. But I'm not necessarily against it. I don't necessarily think it's right. But hey, by any means, man, hey, get your down and out chick.
The down and out chicks end up being the baby mamas y'all complain about.
I don't got no baby mama.
Down and out chick can end up being a baby mama that you complain about.
Yep.
It
will most likely it will be. Most likely it will be.
Don't knock up. Don't knock up the down and out chick.
But man, you know they absolutely doing it then.
No, because most of these chicks that we're talking about are past pregnancy ages anyway. Just to be honest.
No, the down and out chicks be young.
This nigga.
No, they don't. They be past the wall. They be past the wall, thinking that they still doing something until they find out they're not. It takes a while to build. It takes a while to build yourself up. 20-somethings ain't having a house and this and that for the most part. So the chicks, right? But we're talking about more kind of the chicks that are a little more established, and that obviously takes a little time. So we're not talking about the young things that are even going to be getting knocked up for the most part. You're talking about your 45-year-older that's past that wall, and just not getting that same attention. You say what?
That wall don't stop at 45. I know plenty of 50-year-olds that can still get pregnant.
Wait. Okay. Wait. Hold
You
on.
do realize women over 50 still have periods, right?
But you know they're the exception to the rule, right?
Not necessarily.
It is definitely the exception versus the rule argument.
Yeah, most it's not a good
Listen. See,
No, okay.
it's ladies
so
like you that are
what's
dangerous to
confusing
these young
is the
ladies.
women
Because
that
let me
have
tell you
had
something.
children.
It's
that
ladies
have
like
gotten
you that are
tubes tied.
dangerous to these young ladies, because here's the thing. You will have these young ladies thinking that there ain't no wall, or you ain't gonna hit a wall till you 50.
No, I didn't say that.
No. Things dramatically decrease in a lot of ladies' 30s, especially when they go past 35. Those, people ain't hollering at them the same way. The guys out there ain't necessarily, it's just not the same options per se. They're not getting as many calls for as many days, so this or that. It is what it is.
Okay, again, and I'm speaking on actual biology, not something I think I know. Your typical women between the age of 40 and 50, a lot of them are still having periods, which means they can still get pregnant. It may be harder, but they can still get pregnant.
35 is the age I just stated. That's geriatric pregnancy.
That 40 to 50 age, a lot of the women that aren't getting pregnant have had tubes tied. That is why they at the quote unquote wall, because they've had children before and have gotten.
No, that's not what the wall is.
Yeah, that's not what we're saying.
What we're
saying is it's not wise. It's not the best healthy practice for a woman physically to say, you know what, I'm going to start popping them out between 40 and 50. The prime childbearing age is in them 20s up until them early 30s. That's the prime childbearing age. It's not. It doesn't. Now the prime childbearing age does not run parallel with the woman's prime in her sex. So what happens is they've hit the wall maybe, or they're running into the wall, or it's right there. They might be in them late 30s, early 40s or something, and they horny as hell. They horny as hell. And a 20-something-year-old dude that need a down and out chick, he can run and bang her back out for a couple of months strong. And then when she hit 43, he like, all right, I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go get me somebody in my age range or slightly younger, and I'm gonna go do my
Once
thing.
He comes up, or the whole time.
I really need y'all to actually look at the statistics of women over between the age of 40 and 50.
We're not saying they don't get pregnant. We're saying that it's not the healthiest practice. That biology says
that. It's a lot less likely. It's just a lot less likely.
Because you also have to factor in, we're talking about women who y'all said were well off now. Y'all said she got her own house and things of that nature. Those are women who are freezing their eggs so they can give birth in that 40 to 50 year age.
But we're talking about accidental pregnancies.
It's happening, y'all.
It's happening. Okay.
Trust me.
We're not saying that it's not possible. Let's talk about probability. Probability, it's more probable than not that you're not having healthy children out after the age of 40 and into 50. It's more probable than not. The healthiest children are born to women when they're earlier in their childbearing years. This has been proven.
I really need y'all to look at some actual statistics on birth.
I'll give you a minute to go find the statistics that say it's just as healthy for a woman. No, go.
I didn't say it's just as healthy. I didn't say that. That's not what I said.
More probable than not. She's healthier.
I'm saying it's happening more. I didn't say it was healthier. I just said it's happening more than you think.
But it's still not a healthier practice. It's still not happening more than women actually getting pregnant. The healthiest children are born to women that are in their prime childbearing years. That is not even debatable. And most likely, like he's saying, the women that have hit that wall area, some have already had children, some realize they're not really going to get them. So they get a little desperate. They get a little desperate because they're a little long in the tooth, and maybe they got a little money. They can afford to sponsor a 20-something-year-old that's going to bang their back out as much as they want to.
Even if they don't have money, man, like it's just, they don't have to have money. They just have to have a spot, like you say. It really comes down to simple as that. Like, you know.
They don't have to have money. They can just have a residence.
That's it. It's simple. And not necessarily have the options, you know, like some of the older guys are hollering at them or whatever. They have, you know, the dad bods and all that type of stuff. But you know, the guys that, you know, they feel like maybe can really turn them on to get their juices going, are probably going to be a little bit younger or whatever. And so that's all I was saying, was that that's the typical scenario. So, you know, someone that said something about accidental pregnancies and this, well, you had said about that they become the baby mamas, and I'm like, nah, not really. They ain't becoming no baby mamas because they're past that age for the most part. You know what I'm saying? They ain't having no kids. So
women ages 40 to 44 had 140,000 of the 3.8 million babies born in 2017.
That's the lowest.
That's worldwide. That's worldwide.
That's statistically not the highest probability.
No, I never said it was the highest probability.
That's what we're saying. We're saying it's more probable than not that it's not healthy and it's not happening. It's the least probable pregnancy that there is. Listen, let's be clear. Okay,
it's not least probable because of biology, as much as it's least probable because most women over 40 are trying to have no kids.
It's a combination of all things. It's a combination of biology. It's a combination of two-time. Let's be clear. Men, I'm gonna be honest. I'll put this on out there. Men, young men especially, love the idea of an older woman. Not just because she know everything. They feel comfortable shooting up the club because they know they shooting into oblivion. That's what a lot of dudes do. This is real talk. I ain't been pregnant in 18 years, boy. Come on, good boy. You ain't got to worry about that. And they ain't had two sides. They ain't had nothing. It's just you just shooting into oblivion. You feel a lot more comfortable doing that than when you're in your 20s.
Here's another article. U.S. women more likely to have children between the ages of 40 to 44 than a decade ago.
Okay.
Yeah, that's because
That's all I'm saying to y'all is things have changed. Because I thought when I turned 40 that I was gonna magically go into menopause. No.
Okay.
And I got friends in 50. If they're 50, 51, still having periods.
And men and
don't hit that wall and it ain't happened.
Okay, there's a lot of things different from a decade ago. Life expectancy has changed from a decade ago. But life expectancy,
what?
You know what I'm saying? What's she saying?
What did she just say? What? Say that again.
I said a lot of us thought we were gonna hit this wall when we turned 40, and it ain't happened yet.
Oh, it happened. Yeah, it happened.
Everybody hits the wall.
Why do you think?
Everybody hits the wall, but it's not this magic. You turn 40 and you're suddenly infertile.
No, it's more like 35, and we're not talking. You're talking about a different wall than we are. So we're not. So the wall. So let me introduce you to manosphere talking points. Okay. So the wall is what happens to most ladies sometime around their mid-30s when they basically stop receiving the same level of attention that they used to receive 10 years ago.
Oh, so well, I'm talking about sheer biology. I ain't talking about that.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about. So we're talking about when ladies hit that place to where they're not getting the same level of attention from guys, then they become those more desperate kind of auntie type ladies. You know what I'm saying? They're not as hot. Okay. Their bodies are a little bit more fluffy and this and that and the third. They may have had kids already and all that type of stuff. And, you know, just don't have the same dating options that they used to. But then there's some, you know, young guy that works at KFC that, you know what I'm saying? He's like giving her a little attention and this and that.
He got a strong bike.
Listen, he's 21.
He got a strong bike.
That's all she wants. That's all she wants. It's Louisville Slugger time. You feel me?
I'll agree that we were talking about two different things. I'm talking about biology.
I'm talking biology. There has not been human history. For you to say something in the last 10 years or 20 years does not negate hundreds and hundreds of years of women being more risky. When is the woman the most at risk when pregnant? What's the age?
The whole dang pregnancy.
No, when is she most at risk? What age are women more at risk?
No. He's saying when are women most likely to get pregnant during what ages? So what window of ages? And I'd probably say somewhere around maybe 15 to 30.
Right. And also when I'm saying, but when are they most at risk for complications? When they're younger or older?
Well, when they're older.
That's
if they're too young or when they're older.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. So when we talk about biological issues, that's why there's no doubt about this. Here's another thing. There's no doubt that there's a certain age, and this is where men got to be careful. And I think Sheffy might have been talking about this because there's a point. Men got to be careful trying to be homosexuals because there's a certain age where a woman knows that her chance of getting pregnant goes down, and those dudes laying up in there, and they gonna knock her up. If she 38 and she know that time is running out, you think she finna delete anything to save anything to wait for 2 more years for the right guy to come? If she got a little money and she got that house and got this, bro, she finna have that baby. She gonna say, you know what? I'm willing to go ahead and thug it out without you. So all my brothers that just might be considering the homosexual option, do remember, if you knock up, I'm keeping it. That's coming out of my mouth. The best thing Chris Rock said you can do is you can say, what is we gonna do? That's what you can do. You can't suggest nothing. You can try to finesse her. That might work.
I had my son at 34. And then I was considered geriatric. So I get what you're saying. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying your typical professional woman these days are just waiting later in life to have children.
Oh, yeah.
They just
yeah.
are.
And they're having complications with that though. Like look at
complications.
There was a show. What's the real estate?
At 20 and I had complications.
There's a real estate there's like some reality real estate show or whatever with this young lady who is doing very well in real estate. I forget what her name is, escapes me right now. But she basically she on the show showed that I think she was 39 years old. And she had purposely waited to have kids to, enhance her career and, move up and do that type of stuff, and has become, pretty well off. But now she's like literally second guessing all of that because of the amount of complications that they're having in becoming pregnant. And so they're just like finding it really difficult to become pregnant. And she's got a lot of money. They spent a lot of money on all the medical stuff and in vitro and all that stuff. And so the point is just to say that that's just not the way nature intended it. So even if it was something that people are starting to do or starting to consider, should we normalize that? I mean, and what's the real experience that people are having? Because honestly, I know about a situation like hers. I have a family member who had a child when she was, I think, 40. And, that child has complications, many health complications. And so is that the best route? Is that something that we should be like encouraging people by saying, oh no, I know many people are doing it and stuff, or should it be like, it's still not the best option?
Age though, it's environment.
It's age.
No, it's more than age. It's more than age.
It might be more than age, but age is a humongous factor.
No,
age is probably the biggest factor.
Let me explain. I just read a post, read a post from a nurse who said in all pregnancies since COVID, there has been a rise in preeclampsia because exposure to COVID, which is a cardiovascular disease, not a respiratory one like most people think, is causing issues with these moms, and it's ranging across age groups. The young moms are having experiences with preeclampsia just as much as the old moms are. So our environment absolutely impacts. A lot of the women that are having problems getting pregnant, they have PCOS. A lot of them have fibroid issues. And a lot of these things are caused by environmental things too. You got 20-year-olds out here still struggling to have babies because of these environmental issues. We can't just all say, oh, it's just age. It's just age. It's never just anything.
I'm not saying it's just. See, when you consider
Marcus is.
No, no. I think
he just don't like old women, period, or something. I
don't think he's mentioning it like that. I think, and I'm trying to elaborate it, is because a lot of times men think about the most probable scenario where things are going to go right. So we need all the factors that's going to make this work. The moment you start saying, all right, I'm going to kick this can down the road, what am I kicking this can down the road for? Once I kick it down the road, these are going to be the issues. So a man thinks, I probably need to do this at this stage because this gives me the most likely success doing it at this stage. And so we try to relate that down to women. I will tell women in a heartbeat, don't let no motherfucker waste your youth. No woman should let a man waste their youth. Because if you let a man waste your youth, he will get another shot at it later. a 40, 50-year-old man gets another shot at an entire life. Like, look, I'm on my second marriage, right? My youngest is 17. If I want to start over from scratch again, I won't have a physical complication in my body. I can just go pow and start over again, and they can all be adults, and I can have 2 entire nuclear families in my lifetime. Women y'all aren't built to physically do that. So a woman's youth should not be wasted on the wrong guy, one. And if she does choose the career path or all these other things, just consider there's a trade-off. There's always a trade-off.
Oh, yes, there's always an opportunity cost. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had my first pregnancy was at 20 years old, and it literally almost killed me. So for me, my pregnancy got easier as I got older. I don't know. That is me. Because younger.
So just want to clear something up. I don't hate old ladies. I love old ladies. Okay, just want to clear that up.
No, I'm trying to smile on the camera. I'm trying to smile on the camera.
Definitely more attracted to younger women, and that's just a fact of life. And so I mean, it is what it is. Like
What? Hold on. I got a question.
No comment past that.
Wait, hold on. Wait. I got a question. What's the attraction to younger women? Well, okay, what's the younger woman age group? Let's be specific, because.
So I'm gonna be 40 in June, and I'm currently dating a 25-year-old.
Okay. See, I couldn't do it.
How you do that?
I tried it. Listen. Okay, so I'm gonna let him give his experience, and I'm gonna give mine. I will not say that it was all bad. There were some definite high notes, but when I would compare the things, my personal preferences, to these other highs that I had when I went younger, I just always found my personal preferences were met with women closer to my age range, and so it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a bad experience. I couldn't say I was miserable. I could just say I wasn't as fulfilled. That's the best way for me to put it. That's where I put it. It wasn't as fulfilling. Fun as hell though, sometimes. Go ahead. So, but go ahead. You speak on your experience. That's a new experience for my man right here. I mean, he knew in the game. He might not. He gonna marry again until he's 60.
I'm a year in at this point, man. So yeah. I can speak on it. I can speak on it pretty confidently. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, listen. For one, we all know that there's no age defined. There's no gravity defying age, right? So everything kind of starts to trail off a little bit when we start to get a certain age. So just the physical attraction level alone, right? I'm just more attracted to, I mean, I keep my body in a decent shape. So I'm more attracted to, the tighter, fresher, what I'm saying, more petite, more fit kind of bodies, which tend to be on younger women. Also, I've got my own stuff going on, my own finances, my own stuff, this and that and the third. So the things that I need a woman for are a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? I need a woman for her feminine energy, for her light effervescence, to brighten my day up after I've had a long day, and oftentimes, it is what it is. As women put on those years, that the different experiences that they've had, the different trauma that they've had, it all piles on to just take away some of that lightness and effervescence that you find in younger women a lot of times. And just so happens that the young lady that I'm talking about also kind of has an old soul, so it kind of I kind of have a young soul. Right, I kind of have, what I'm saying, I still I still listen to current music. I kind of, I tool around in my Jeep with the top down type stuff and all like that. So I'm that type of guy, right? And so for me, it's a good match because we're kind of matched physically and also kind of mentally with a lot of the stuff. She's moldable, so I can teach her a lot of stuff versus having someone that's kind of like, always challenging you and everything
we do that
else.
Part.
Exactly.
We do that part.
I mean, it is what it is. If you're someone who is work hard to establish himself and, you know, make himself out to be, you know, what he is, then I don't want to be challenged all the time. I don't want to be second guessed about this or that. If I've proven myself through my track record, then I just want to be at peace. And I don't. And also, it's just think about it. I mean, honestly, you know, you get past a certain age, you've kind of done all the stuff already. So the excitement isn't there. You know, compare a trip to Jamaica with someone my age versus with, you know, young lady I'm dating, right? Someone my age, you know, you take them, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember when I went last time and I did this and I went here and there, and you know, yeah, this is cool. You know, someone that is her age has never been before or whatever. Oh, this is great. This is the best.
So it's basically control.
I'm sorry.
I said what I said.
Huh? No, what it is you're spending the same money, you're just getting a much different experience. And that experience is someone that appreciates what you're doing, how you're doing it. And guess what comes with appreciation? Yeah, see, when someone appreciates you, it's just a much better energy. It's a much better experience. And so, you know, I recommend for any guys that are, you know, around this age that kind of have flexibility in terms of the age range that they could date to keep their body in shape, because, you know, you still got to be able to attract. You don't want it to just be an attraction of your resources and this and that. But at the same time, you know, hey, if you got your stuff going on and, you know, you got your, you know, you look good and everything else, why would you choose someone your age? I mean, I get it, but I get what Manuel's saying, and like it, you know, I get it, but and Manuel's like that. He's attractive, he's got his stuff going on, he's a great guy, all this stuff. And so we just see it differently. And me and Manuel knows we've had this discussion offline many times.
I'm gonna bring y'all in the conversation.
It just sounds like the whole cliche of older men dating younger
Hold on,
women.
wait.
Why do you think that is though? Why do you think that's a time-tested truth to the world? Why do you think that is? It's time-tested. This isn't just a new thing. This is literally how we operate.
I didn't say it was
humans.
a new thing, and it's not a hidden mystery that when you date somebody who's inexperienced in certain things, that they're going to appreciate you more because they've just not had these experiences. That's nothing.
So then why would I choose something else?
I mean, if that's what you feel like you need to be fulfilled, go fulfill
It's
yourself.
a better experience. It's a better experience.
Okay.
I would say this. Hold on.
Versus someone who's just okay with it, and then what I'm gonna get? Some halfway appreciative, used up. You know what? Like, come on now. Like, nah, I'm straight on that, man. I'll take the appreciative, brand new. You know, new car smell. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
I just require different things. I don't need to be validated by other people in that way. So it is what it is.
It's not a validation. It's an experience. It's an experience. If I'm gonna spend the money, in men are logical thinkers, why would I spend money to have a worse experience versus having a better experience?
But your better experience is based off of somebody being inexperienced. That's validation. No, it's
based off of. Well, listen. The result is what it is. So the result is that I'm appreciated more, which makes me feel like, oh, great. It feels good to be appreciated. I think all human beings can agree with that. So sure. Yeah, I mean, why would I? I just don't.
Hey, you like it? I love it.
It doesn't make any sense to me if you have the option. Now, not every 40-year-old guy has the option or whatever, but you know, if you do, I don't see why you would. You know, I don't know.
I would say this. I want to go back to another point you made, and this is true. This is true. I saw. Okay, Dwayne Boyd. I just saw you. So I've vacillated back and forth in that experience. And he's 40. I don't know what the youngest you've dated is. So if 25 is the youngest you've dated, I would just venture to say I've dated younger. Like I went way down. Not no teenagers, no bullshit. Everybody was me. Now, I never sought it out. I never went to say, oh, let me go look. It's just that somebody would shoot their shot, and I'm like, baby, how do you? What? You know, and I'm like, well, okay, let me see. I ain't got nothing better to do, right? And the experience, again, wasn't a bad experience. The nuances of the experiences left me a little bit unfulfilled because there are I'm very particular about some things. What he mentions, one thing that's sure, and no man wants to deal with this. Men it's our nature. It's got to be understood. Cooperation doesn't just always come along with somebody that just gets along and knows how to challenge you in a healthy manner. Sometimes we want no challenge whatsoever. Sometimes, like my man said the other day, Frank made this point in our last live. If I tell you to do something, just do it. I don't want questions. I don't want this, that, that. Men operate in that place. If I say duck, don't ask me why. Bitch, duck. I mean, I'm just saying. So a lot of times, but if she's lived a little bit and she knows something about something, she might say, well, I don't know what you're telling me. Last time somebody told me to duck, I should have jumped. So I was just making sure. Now your head knocked off and I told your ass to duck. If you was young and dumb, you would have just ducked like I told you to. But you smart, you know everything. So now you want to just jump when I said duck. Who told you to do that? You know what that does to a man? It grinds gears. And it's the most frustrating thing.
It's another fight. It's another thing you have to fight.
I'm telling you, it is.
You don't want to have to. You don't want to have your guard up at home.
Yeah,
in your palace.
Okay? Frank, hold on. Frank ain't finna sit back here with his
because I don't even want to listen.
I know he knows. Because
I don't want him to be mad on this live at me.
Because I know he. Well, we don't want to get him. Yeah. We don't no smoke. We don't no smoke. I know he knows.
I want no smoke.
You see, no. You see, Frank. He not disagreeing with nothing. He just
look, because I already know what he's thinking. He probably thinking like, yeah, but he don't want to say nothing. Look at him. He can't say nothing. Hey, we ain't trying to get you in trouble, boy. Just look.
Good. I guess my apprehension is in it, and this is just coming from a woman's point of view, is that I was one of those women that older men preyed on for this particular reason.
Preyed on. See how this
No.
suggestive language.
No.
You gotta let me finish.
I know where she's going. Let her finish. Go ahead.
Okay.
And I'm talking about literally, I'm 15, 16 years old, and these 30-year-old men knowing I'm underage out here where, you got an old soul and you act grown up for your age and stuff like that. So when I hear men talk like this, and I'm not saying that is what you're trying to do, Marcus, at all. That's not what I'm saying.
Not saying that's what
you're
trying
like
to do,
with
Marcus.
Passport Bros, you got people who take it too far.
Right.
It's the same thing that's happening out here. And you have a lot of older men that are preying on these girls. They are.
No, that's a fact. I understand that. You could just take one look at my channel. And I mean, it probably 50%.
I would say most of your content, 70% of your content.
It has to do with, those type of situations during childhood. So I understand that, but that's not what we're talking about. So let's not try to obfuscate or try to, change what we're talking about.
What I'm just saying is,
I understand that you're triggered
just like
by
Passport Bros have to be careful in how they talk and tell men to go to other countries to quote unquote dabble in other women. It's the same thing. Because I was 23 dating a 39-year-old. My money, stole out of my house to the point where I had to call the people on him. Yeah. Like a lot of this is happening out here where these older guys literally go looking for younger girls to do this type of stuff to them.
Well,
so
but
be careful in even how you address it. If you got a choice, you should. It's not that simple because every man doesn't have the same thought process. Every man doesn't have the same quality of who he is as a person. And you tell them something like that, and they already a low self-esteem dude out here striking out. Well, let me go find me a 20-something who I can treat any kind of way.
Well, I mean, if they're striking out, they're probably not going to be able to attract the 20-somethings. That's the thing.
But they're naive and don't know.
Wait, hold on. See,
If they can attract 20 somethings, they can attract 30 and 40 somethings.
No
as
way.
far as attraction goes.
Hold on. There's a gray area. I think there's a gray area. I hear what I 100% understand what Sheffy's saying, and I 100% understand what Mark's saying. I think everybody does understand it. But one thing that is true, and we've heard it in music, we've seen it in movies, there is this idea that a man likes to have one that's young and dumb, not always for the reasons of less stress, but sometimes for the reasons of manipulation. So the language has to be a little bit careful with our recommendations. My man is not recommending that super pookies go out and get somebody young, dumb, and mistreat them for the next guy. Because again, what does that do for the next guys coming along when she's 28? And
I'm gonna challenge the whole concept though of this, honestly, because I get it. If a younger woman is if she's in her teenage years and this and that and the third. But how much of this is the ladies doing what they want to do? How much of this is they've been told not to do this, but they decide to do it anyway? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, there's a good bit of that on my channel as well. And I'm just being honest.
Hold on, wait.
Who is telling them to not do stuff and they go do it anyway?
Their parents, older people. It could be some, they may have a friend that's a boy or something that's their age that is like, no, you shouldn't be doing this. But guess what? They're in their hot in the pants stage, and they're making these decisions. So let's not be misandrous and just like, oh, it's just these big bad men, and the women are they're just complete victims. Like, there are many victims, and so don't get that misconstrued. There are plenty victims, but there's also plenty willing participants, and that doesn't get talked about enough. When you were 15 and 16, you decided to do that stuff with that guy. He didn't hypnotize you.
No, that wasn't the same thing. I said 23 and 39. I said at 15, I had 30-year-old guys hitting on me. At 10, I had 40-year-old guys hitting on me.
Well, so the point is, you knew not to do that. I
went out and did anything with anybody. I was grown, so I lost my virginity. So stop that right there.
Well, that's my point, though. You decided to not do that at that time or whatever. At the age that you was 23, I hate to tell you, but you was grown. So you made that choice to deal with, I guess, a dude that needed to steal stuff from you and this, that, and the third, when I'm sure that there was maybe some 23-year-old guy that was maybe, I don't know, not your type or whatever, that was trying to holler at you at that time. But, the 39-year-old guy is who you're attracted to more. And so you chose that.
So I chose
nobody put a gun to your head and said that you have to deal with this guy.
Hold on. So I want to kind of, again, bridge this gap just a little bit and share something. So you mentioned something, Marcus, and I got to give you pushback on this. You said those women choose to. Okay, my screen got jacked up a little bit, but hold on, let me fix that real quick. You said those women chose. All right, there we go. We're back. So you're saying those women chose to partake in whatever with what guy? I want to put this out there. I put this out there before, and the screen got jacked up because I got a clear example of this. And this isn't debatable. This is something that's not debatable.
I have a clear example too, but go ahead.
The brain, listen, and let me be clear. And I've said this before, and I will never get off of it because this is, y'all know me. When it gets to science, I go there.
The brain isn't fully developed until 25.
The brain is not developed before it's not fully there. So somewhere between everything up to 25, young people are more susceptible to bullshit, period. So that thought process, that ability to make a wise decision, to really make a good choice based on knowing, based on being emotionally mature, based on being neurologically aware and prepared, is minimal compared to those that are above the age of 25. This isn't a debate. This is neuroscience. It is what it is. So oftentimes when we say these young girls or these women made these decisions, yes, they were legally able to, in some cases, make a decision. Yes, if you're 21, you're legally able to make a decision. And don't compare it to going to war and buying alcohol and anything else, because we don't have all those things right. The brain science tells us that the dumbest people are between the ages of about 15 and 25, hands down. And those include women. So when men oftentimes purposely go into these spaces to get them, those women, yes, they're willing in that moment because they don't know no damn better. They don't have perspective. They ain't seen around corners. They don't get it. And so
extremely impressionable.
Man, listen.
I'm telling, and that's not a debate. Hey, you can lean back and feel how you want. This is not a debate. This is science. You like biology just a minute ago when we was talking about hitting them walls. We're gonna run that same science right now when we talk about them brains. If that damn body can't push out a baby at the right age, and that's a wall, there's also a wall that's preventing women from making the right decisions before a certain age. I guarantee you.
Men don't even make good decisions before 25. It ain't even just it's a everybody. Everybody.
Why you think you can't rent a car under the age of 25?
Yep.
The business decision. Ain't got nothing to do with it. You don't have to rent a car. So I mean, and younger people are more likely to, like you say, just be in the hot stuff and make bad decisions. I get all that, man.
Tony
But
Coxon, this is Tell Me More from NPR News. Michelle Martin is away. We'd like to spend this part of the program talking about the passage from childhood to adulthood and how that may be tougher for one distinct group of young people. Most of the privileges and responsibilities of adulthood are legally granted by the age of 18. That's when you can vote, enlist in the military, move out on your own. But is that the true age of maturity? A growing body of science says no. The critical parts of the brain involved in decision-making are not fully developed until years later at age 25 or so. In a moment, we'll hear about how child advocates are hoping to use this research to change the laws about their foster care. But first, to learn more about adolescent brain development and maturity, we are joined now by neuroscientist Sandra Amick. She is the co-author of the book, Welcome to Your Child's Brain, How the Mind Grows from Conception to College. Sandra, welcome to the program. It's nice to have you.
Nice to be here.
Is this idea that the brains of 18-year-olds aren't fully developed a matter of settled science?
Yes, the car rental companies got to it first, but neuroscientists have caught up, and brain scans show clearly that the brain is not fully finished developing until about age 25.
To not be too clinical in the spin that we put on this, what parts of the brain are we talking about, and what changes happen between the ages of 18 and, let's say, 25?
So the changes that happen between 18 and 25 are a continuation of the process that starts around puberty. And 18-year-olds are about halfway through that process. Their prefrontal cortex is not yet fully developed. That's the part of the brain you to inhibit impulses and to plan and organize your behavior to reach a goal. And the other part of the brain that is different in adolescence is that the brain's reward system becomes highly active right around the time of puberty and then gradually goes back to an adult level, which it reaches around age 25. And that makes adolescents and young adults more interested in entering uncertain situations to seek out and try to find whether there might be a possibility of gaining something from those situations.
He gonna disagree.
There's nothing to disagree, bro. We're not finna.
Listen. Science is science. Listen, man. Listen, science is science, and that's great. But listen, this doesn't change. Look at nature, man. If that were the case, then we would have been made to start being able to have kids and things like that at the age of 25. Okay, nature didn't intend it that way. So, I get it. Science looking at the prefrontal cortex and this and that and the third. It's still people choosing and making these decisions for themselves.
So girl has her period at 8 years old. That means she has enough of wherewithal to choose what happens in her life.
You guys acting like a 18-year-old or a 23-year-old is a child. That's just absolutely ridiculous.
No. Nobody said that. I'm just saying that your ability to make the best decisions don't come until a certain point and a certain age and a certain stage. That's it. Now, do you need to be held responsible for the decisions you make? I 100% agree with that. I'm not taking that away. Hell, it's a lot of grown-ass women that's 30 and 40 that's making decisions worse than some people at 20. I'm not negating that. I'm just saying that those young ages and stages, you're more susceptible to things not necessarily going the way that they should be, because the decisions you're making, you're not necessarily prepared for that. That's all I'm saying. Your brain's not ready. Science ain't lying. It doesn't mean that people don't make good decisions.
So we just sat here and talked about cougars having younger guys, and we had no issues with that. Nobody brought up prefrontal cortex or bad decisions or anything like that. All we talked about was how
it was you that brought up that it was cougars and homosexuals.
Now we switch. Now we switch topics.
Bro, hold on.
We switch genders.
You tripping.
And all of a sudden, the women are little babies that can make decisions for themselves.
That's not.
It was you that brought up that it was cougars supporting homosexuals.
We weren't talking about. We were saying that it's okay for men to take advantage of cougars. We wasn't saying that it was okay for cougars to take advantage of men. We was like, hey, I suggested that.
So are these young ladies taking advantage of these older guys? Why do y'all think that's not happening?
Now, there are some that do.
They are.
I'm not saying some
a lot of times.
Some?
Yes.
Some?
They are.
You saying all?
Wait,
no, we can't. I'm saying that there's more than some. Nothing is ever that, but most definitely a lot of them, their first idea is, this is the older guy who can do something for me. Naturally, you're thinking that.
That's
well, so then fair trade ain't no robbery where I come from. I don't know what y'all talking about. Fair trade, no robbery. So here's the thing. Y'all are willing to absolve them.
Why is it when we just introduce new objective information? It's only to say that they're not making the best decisions at that age. Nobody is. Young men.
Are they benefiting? Are they benefiting?
That's what they benefiting. That
doesn't mean it's the best decision.
Because you letting an old man waste your youth. So it's still not a good decision.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like you know these things are nuanced, right? This isn't a black or white area. You know what I'm saying? This is a very nuanced age. The only objective thing we know is that age group has issues. We got a little stream is going. Everybody's struggling with this. Is that everybody locked up? Mm-mm. Oh no, that's just Sheffy and Frank.
I'm not locked up.
No, it's you. Probably you, bro.
Oh, okay, good.
Everything's still moving.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's mine. I can't. There's certain things. But go ahead. My bad.
No, you was talking.
It's
but yeah, so
listen,
right. So no, everything's moving. Everything's moving. So I mean, listen. I don't know. I think that we have a culture that looks to coddle women, and don't hold any accountability to a woman and a decision that she makes, and use every excuse in the book that, until they're 25, they're not capable of making any decisions. Like, that's just ridiculous.
I didn't say they weren't capable. I said they don't make the best.
And they're benefiting from these situations in whatever way it is. So how are they
make it a good decision? You can benefit from dating a dope boy, but that don't make it a good decision.
Right. I mean, the whole point of bringing up the fact that the brain is not completely developed at that age is just a way to explain or display how impressionable they are and the reason why. Right. They are highly impressionable because their brain isn't developed. That's it.
And it's not
they don't have to a certain degree, they don't have capacity to give you pushback that an older woman would give you.
Capacity?
Yes, in the way that an older woman would. She don't have the bandwidth. She don't have the experience. She's not developed enough. No, you're older. Like it's kind of automatic. Like that's what comes with their brain not being developed yet, and that's the extent of that point.
Yeah, that's the extent of the point. It's not to say that they don't benefit. It's not to say that it's not. Now, don't get it twisted. It's not to say that some of these young women don't got game and haven't been taught and
Exactly.
it's not to say that there's some young women that are some predators. I warn passport bros about them.
Plenty.
Me sharing that wasn't to negate that. I said it's a nuanced conversation. There's some passport bros that's gonna take some L's for going down there grabbing a 23-year-old Brazilian. You bring her back to these States, she's gonna cook you when she gets on IG Live and she decides she don't want it, and you become her ward for the next decade or more. When you've had children, you brought her over here, you brought her back to the States, you thought you got a baddie, she decided that she want to scuttle the relationship. Now you got to support her and your children for the better part of a decade, because that's the rules when you bring somebody back to this country. No, she does that doesn't mean that she's made the best decision. Doesn't mean that she's aware. She can also be a predator. I'm not
Okay,
saying
so hold on.
impossible.
I wanna touch on a point, right? Okay. So Sheffy said that, okay, well, doesn't mean that it's a good decision. Okay. So would it be a better decision for the young lady to date someone her own age?
No, not necessarily.
I
Not
don't think necessarily either. I think there's an age group. There's an age group. Me and you've had that conversation before. I think there's an age group. I don't think going.
So you just think it's a tighter window, basically?
Yeah, just a tighter window. And as you get older,
because how is it inherently a bad decision to date someone for a younger lady to date someone older? I don't understand.
It's not,
it's
not necessarily a bad decision.
It's
that's the argument that you just made.
Nobody is saying anything in totality, sir. Please, it's a range. It is a spectrum. It is always a range and a spectrum. Period. Yeah. Point blank. We shouldn't have to keep explaining that.
I would say that there's this window, and that window expands the older you get. The older that an individual gets, the more their wherewithal makes them should make them equipped to deal with more advanced stages and people and circumstances in life. So no, I wouldn't go tell a 21-year-old girl that, hey, that 22-year-old guy is ideal. I would tell that 21-year-old girl it's probably a little bit better to date somebody that's maybe 25, 26 if you're talking serious. I would tell the woman that's 25 that the guy that's probably around 30 or 30 plus, that's probably a little bit better for you if depending on what you want. I would tell the woman that's 30 that your range opens up a bit more. He could be from 30 to 40. He might be able to be a little younger than you. I think it just evolves as you get older. But I would not recommend a 21-year-old to be so eager to date so much older, because she's not as ready as she thinks she is. Most of them aren't. Teenagers and young people are stupid.
So why do you think it happens? Why do you think it happens so often?
Because they're dumb.
Daddy issues.
They're dumb.
I mean, it's right. And you can throw out multiple things.
That's the exact reason I dated older. Daddy issues.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely know daddy issues is one of them.
Now look here. I want to rewind, because y'all ain't finna have me get laid out when this woman get home. Look, my silence could be shown. It could be seen as being complicit, but I just want to clarify, give some clarity that sometimes we want the woman to just be like, hey, I need you to do this, and that be all to it. But what I've come to realize over time is when the questions come, it's being asked just for some clarity. Because what's being asked is going to get done, but sometimes you just got to give an explanation to what you're asking so that she'll have some clarity. You know what I'm saying? So I realized that. It was time before I realized that I would get frustrated, like, just do it. But then I came to the understanding, like, everyone, like, if it's something that's it could be confusing, or it could be something that catches the person off guard. Everybody's not going to be immediately responsive. You know what I'm saying? Right. So there's a an extent of grace and patience that you have to give when the questions come. Secondly, I love you, Kira. Always will.
Uh-oh.
Okay, let's move on.
Oh, what happened?
Huh?
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You got scared. You got scared. Look.
Yeah,
Look,
nigga.
if you scared, go to church, man.
That
If you
piece
scared,
at
go
the
to
house.
church.
But you brought up something I think a lot of men don't take into account in a marriage, especially in relationships. It could either go, I think, either way, but sometimes it's literally just clarity. That's all. Nobody's questioning your judgment.
Mm-hmm. That's just like a child asking why. I believe in children asking why. They want to understand.
You know what I believe in doing the children when they ask me why.
What you say, Grandpa?
Because I said what I said.
Right, what I said.
It's a struggle for me. Listen, I continually struggle with that regularly. And I understand that it's not always argumentative. It is argumentative and it's not always challenging. But it is a struggle. Like, I will be honest. When I was younger and my first marriage, it wasn't a struggle because I was younger. Now, it's way, way, way more of a struggle because I've had these years as a married man, as a father, as a professional, as somebody who's lived in different places and done different things. I'm much more frazzled with questioning. And a lot of times, sometimes it's not y'all. It's just that sometimes a man knows what he knows. And it's not that what you guys know is the problem. It's just that what you guys know doesn't make a difference in some cases. Now, in some cases, depending on how y'all dial into it and throw that information in there, I will not negate that I don't even say in some cases, a lot of cases a woman knows something and it's just how she maneuvers that in there. And when she maneuvers it in there the right way, you end up sitting there like, whoa, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad she's on my team. Like, there's no doubt about it that when they slide something in there that's beneficial, us men, what happens, we start to open up to those things because we're like, hold on, wait a minute. You just added value. And then we look, oh, okay, well, she added value there. And then we see something again. Oh, she added value there. And so we start to, our grace goes up more and our reluctance starts to go down and down and down. So it's one of those things. I'm learning it, man. It's not, it ain't easy. My listen, I'll be honest. I can be honest. My old lady might watch this stream. She didn't have to pick up the phone and call old boy up there and say, I don't know this man. Please give me some points. She didn't call my brothers. She didn't call my brothers. Hey, look, who's this? Who is this dude? You grew up with him. You lived with him. Y'all got the same daddy. Please explain. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, it's one of those things.
I remember distinctly, like, me and my husband navigating co-parenting, and my son would tell me, he's like, well, I don't like judo class. It's stressing me out a little bit, blah, blah, blah. So I called him. I'm like, okay, he does 2 classes on 3 days a week because it's also his aftercare too. And he just started chewing me out. You just want him to be soft and you want to be soft. And I'm like, no, the boy just told me he's unhappy and I'm trying to talk to you. Like, I need you to calm down and just work with me here. He's saying he has a problem and we've always listened to our kids. So why wouldn't we listen to him now? So after a whole bunch of pushback, he was like, all right, I'll let him drop the judo class. So we let him stop the judo class. The minute he did that, his behavior in regular school actually got better because he had a little bit more time to play.
I just dragged Sheffy right next to Marcus because I'm make sure y'all gonna learn to get closer to me, y'all. Yeah, there you go. Boy, Sheffy, let me tell you something.
Let me finish the story first before you say that because
go
it's
ahead,
important.
Go ahead.
So my son, his behavior went up in school. Like, he was acting better. He wasn't acting out as much. He wasn't getting in trouble as much. But then he turned around and saw the other kids in the judo class. He put himself back in the judo class. And I had to tell my husband, like, look, sometimes you have to just let your kids figure it out. We as parents maybe want them to do these things, but sometimes we have to pull back and just say, all right, let's see how this goes. He put himself back in the class. So daddy still got what he wanted.
Yeah.
And mommy got what she wanted too, because I just wanted him to be able to decide for himself what was more important to him. And the judo class ended up being important to him. So it's things like that. A lot of times men think, well, y'all just fighting us. Y'all just fighting us. And it's like, no, it ain't even got, I'm not, going against what you say, because I don't want him to quit. I never want any of my children to quit things. But at the same time, I don't want them to be stressed out, because that's the problem with us as adults. We have done a lot of things that have been forced on us, and we stressed out. So it's not always just, well, I'm just trying to argue with them. No. Just follow the process. Let the process happen. And it did exactly what it did.
Such a good leader.
What?
She's such a good leader. Isn't she such a good leader? Man, you be leading that household.
No,
I actually don't.
I'm gonna go find you a nice lady for you to be with, that you can lead the household.
Don't do
tell
that,
her
man.
what's going on. Tell her what to do, and your decision is the one that ends up being the one that's made. Because that's exactly what you just described. I get it. I get what you're saying. It worked out fine in the end. I don't ascribe to that. I ascribe to, no, he's going to stay in judo. Bye.
And that's why that impressionable young woman it works out that's
no. Even with listen, I have kids with a woman that's born 1 week after me, so she's pretty much exactly the same age. And it's like, huh?
I put Chanel over there too. Put you right over here with them. They gonna get them.
No, I mean, because the point is this. For instance, my middle schooler, they're both middle school now, but my oldest, she didn't want to do this and that, didn't want to join this club or that club or whatever, and we forced her to, and she's loved every second of it. And so,
there's nothing wrong with forcing kids. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, so here's my son's day. He goes to school at 7:00 in the morning. He doesn't get home until 7:00 in the evening, because my husband works far away from where his school is. So his commute is 45 minutes to an hour to get back. 5 days a week, he's in martial arts. On 3 of those 5 days, he has 2 hours of martial arts. Your average kid is only going to martial arts 2 days a week, maybe an hour each time. But my son has 5 hours of martial arts a week. That's a lot. That's a lot on an 8.
You say that's the aftercare though, right?
Right. But it's aftercare, and they do the martial arts at the same time. So he doesn't necessarily get time to just be a kid. It's just you in class. So you done been to school from 7 to
I see what you're
go
saying.
to class again from 3 to 7. That's a lot. That's a lot for anybody.
I get it, but I mean, ultimately he put himself back in, so obviously can handle it. Well, I mean, just the point is that he obviously can handle it.
After regrouping,
it goes back to the whole thing of children asking why. They ask why because they want to understand.
I get it.
Once they understand, they comply. That's why he put himself back in the class. He understood. He liked it.
Listen,
he missed it.
So I will say this: there's a time, a place for why, and I, as the man, will choose. Because again, if I tell your little ass to duck. If I tell you a duck can pull a truck, don't ask me about a goose. Just hook the duck up and see. And because I told you a duck can pull a truck, I'm like, don't. Like
there's nuance. There's nuance.
And I get what you was basically advocating for your kids, and so I get it. You was trying to make sure that he was heard and that his feelings was recognized. And I'm not saying that I would have handled it with just a straight iron hammer and been like, no, you're going to judo. I would have taught my interviewer. So I would have asked questions. I would have talked to him and, basically sold him on my thought process.
I don't know why he'd be on it. I don't know why
that's kind of what we did initially.
Listen, I don't know
why
we
talked to him and asked him what he wanted to do, and he said he wanted to stop.
Hold on. I don't know why he'd be on these lives being so tough. The motherfucker is a charmer. So everything comes smooth as hell. Now, if he got to turn up, he probably needs to.
I ain't trying to give you a boring lie.
Oh, okay.
Like, we gotta. If we gonna get to it, let's get to it. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing: someone has to advocate for a correction in our culture, man, because it leans so heavily towards, you know, the feminine side and how they view things, and you know, because I guess historically things were so heavily on the man's side that for the past 50 years it's been overly, you know, the women's perspective has been represented. And so we gotta correct that, man, because we've seen what's happened over the last 50 years. The data is in, we suck, we need to do better, and just having, you know, so that's the point of me advocating some of these points. And you know, hey, listen, I get it, you know, there's nuance to it, but ultimately you made the decision about what happened. And I get it, you know, it may have been the right decision. I don't know, maybe the husband would have done something to get a similar outcome, or you know what I'm saying, whatever, if you would have let him, you know, lead. But I don't know, that was y'all's discussion. Maybe you didn't hear something that you felt like was
let him make the decision. Literally.
Huh?
How we came to what would happen is we said, okay, well, I disagree. Let's ask him. And we asked him. And
but hold on, didn't you just say that your brain isn't even fully developed until you're 25? So why are you asking a kid what they should do and what's going to be best for them and their development into a man? So your husband is looking out
it
for.
It is not saying whether I like judo or a red Lego is not the same as who I'm dating. Come the fuck on.
No. It's not just as simple as liking judo. It may be your husband is thinking this is manhood training. This is going to develop this skill that he's going to be use down the line. And so it ain't about whether he likes it or not. It's something that your husband knows is going to be useful to him as a man. And him as a boy, he may not be able to see that right now. So your husband, being the only man in the situation, really should have had the last word, because he knows what your son is going to have to face out here from a first person perspective. And you don't necessarily. And so, I ain't mad at the decision that was made, but I'm just saying the process.
I understand
the process of a child expressing their emotions and being vocal about what they need, and the mental stress and that type of thing. Them going through the motions of, okay, well, we'll try this out so you can see how you feel and you can focus on this. And that, all of that is a learning curve. All of that is a learning experience. So it's when you bringing up child like brain development, that in itself, it's emotional development. It's him learning to vocalize how he feels and be transparent. And then in the end, he made the decision that his father wanted all in all. So you want someone that's going to know how to speak up for themselves and be able to articulate, this is how I'm feeling. I don't like the way I feel tired. I'm not focused. You know, you got to train all of that. It can't be straight military. I'm the hammer. And I said this. You know, that molds timid people who can't communicate how they feel, and they go into relationships not being able to
whatever. Listen, but that's not what I said though. Right, but that's not what I said, right? So I'm not advocating for the, you know, the child to not be able to speak up or tell how he feels or anything like that. What I'm specifically talking to is the process. The process which we use and whose decision ultimately is the one that you know that we go with. And so, you know, listen, you came to the conclusion and it worked out. I'm interested to know what would have happened if he would have decided to not go back into the judo class.
My biggest concern was he was tired to the point where he was underperforming in school. Once he found his own balance as a child, everything started to improve. And then he ended up like, you know what? I actually missed the judo class. Let me go back in. He still had to figure that out for himself. And a lot of times parents don't see their children as people that have to figure things out. And it's, well, I'm the parent, I know better, I know better. Yes, there are lots of things we do know better in, but as long as he's not harming himself in this decision that he's made, because it wasn't that he stopped martial arts altogether. He just stopped one of the classes. He was still in the other class, got a yellow belt in it and everything. So the whole premise of him, you know, being built as a man, that wasn't lost.
So if a 15-year-old girl, if a 15-year-old daughter comes to her parents and says, well, listen, I just want to date this 35-year-old guy because I really like him. Sir, and I think you guys should just respect. Hold on. We were just talking about.
The context don't even allow to even explore that.
Like, you be reaching so far,
all the way far.
I swear to God.
Hold on. One thing I want to throw in. So look, I am very straight line. Do as I say, not as I do. To a degree. And my dad wasn't necessarily like that. He was, but he had a lot of nuance. One thing that we've gotten wrong in society, and we're learning slowly that we've got it wrong, is that with all the discipline that we put in place, we still have to allow for exploration. Because a kid's brain, you're not letting them make decisions. You're not letting the kid just plain out decide outcomes and finalities. You're allowing them to explore. Interesting, one of the smartest men in this world, Neil deGrasse Tyson. He has a quote, and he says the first thing we do with kids is the moment they get to the most explorative parts of their development, we tell them to sit down and shut up. The moment the kids start grabbing pots and pans and start beating on things, the moment they want to start touching and tasting, we like, sit down in that corner, be quiet, shut up. Schools literally look like prisons. I don't know how many, you know what I'm saying?
Especially these days.
Yeah, so literally the explorative nature is now, I've always told mine, there is an outcome. There's an outcome. I'm gonna let you sit back and you think about what you want to do. But there is an outcome. So the outcome sometimes is gonna be what I want. I'm gonna tell them, I've let them say, all right, sit back and tell me what you think about this, how you feel about this. And then if they come to a conclusion that aligns with mine, good for them. If they don't come to a conclusion that aligns with mine, good for them. It doesn't make me a difference one way, but I do agree with expressing them emotions, giving yourself an opportunity to feel things out. My dad did that, and he allowed me to sometimes fail. After, he would drop them nuggets, and then he would sit back and just observe this decision making in this process. And then when I failed, it was kind of like an I told you so moment. All right, now since we good here, now you know what I'm saying? So you're still not making the best decisions. You're still being dumb in your 20s. You're still being dumb. You're still being dumb. It's not to say that you're not being dumb, and it's not to say that you can't be held accountable for it, and you shouldn't be held accountable for it. So yeah, a 15-year-old can't come and say nothing about, I want to date a 35-year-old. No, you're not going to say, okay, girl, go for it. Oh, okay, I'm going to let you figure this out. Hell no. Morgan cannot come to me at 20 and say, Dad, this 35-year-old, sit your ass down. You ain't built for that guy yet. You're just not. You're just not built for it yet.
Man, the thing that I've been noticing or experiencing, observing, whatever, with teenagers, and all of them have been daughters. My daughters.
Okay.
My son, when he turned 12, 13, my late wife sent him to stay with his biological dad. So he would come and visit, on weekends and stuff or whatever, holidays. But primarily he was with his biological dad from early teen up till now. So his dad was a heavier influence on him as he was maturing into adulthood. I had him when he was a small kid up until he reached 13. So I had that impact on him. And also while he was developing. Boy, still my son, so I was in constant contact with him. He just wasn't under my roof. But these girls, my wife's oldest, my oldest, because in the eyes of the government, she's mine now. I came into her life she was 13. She's 22 now. So my first experience with raising a teenager full time was with a girl. Man. So now I get it's 4 more behind her. So I got 4 teenage daughters in my house right now.
You could say it.
It's trying because it's like they want to be children and women at the same time. And when they want to be women, it's like you don't sit your ass down somewhere.
You have to understand though, they're still they're going through hormonal changes that they don't understand yet.
I know.
So
I hate that.
Out.
I know that. I get that. My wife told me the same thing. She said she went through the same thing, being teenager. Because I never experienced that, I don't have like a certain patience. I don't have the same patience that my wife has. You know what I mean? Because I never experienced being a girl. Because I'm not a girl, I'm a nigga. I'm a man. So, what I had to learn is because I tell them I still see you as babies that I have to protect. So it's hard for me to allow the space that they need to explore these changes that they're living through, and with them evolving into womanhood. Because now my 16-year-old, she dating, and I gotta restrain myself because the little boy come and visit. So when I want to just be like I want the little nigga to fear me, but I can't make that happen because it's gonna push her. It's gonna push her away from me, and I don't want there to be a disconnect to where if that she feel like she can't come to me and talk to me about her little boyfriend because she has some kind of animosity because I've created an image of myself because I done put fear into this little boy that she like. So all this dumb stuff is what I'm observing and trying to get a grasp on, and it's hard. Like determining when it's time to be a parent and when it's time to be an instructor. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm on my feet trying to figure all this out day by day.
You just have to be the man that shows her what men should look like, and daughters typically will follow suit. They will choose the dudes that look like you.
Eventually.
No, usually.
Eventually.
I'm gonna go.
I'm not saying they won't. I'm saying sometimes with young people there's a trial and error. You know what I'm saying? But I do think eventually they do come around to those that modeled that if what dad is, they will eventually find something very similar to that later. If you're a dad that's a protector and a provider, they're going to find a man that's a protector and a provider. If you're a man that pacifies and you co-sign bullshit, that's the kind of man they're going to end up finding. Now, it's not to say that they're not going to stumble across the other type or the opposite type along the way or en route too. You just hope she don't get pregnant by a motherfucker and don't do nothing dumb along the way, and she good, because they gotta have these experiences. They gotta have these experiences, so it only further validates what they know to be the best outcome to a certain degree. My kids are older than his. My teenagers, I got young adult teen, and I'm frustrated all the time about the decisions that they make. But I always just think, keep living. I just keep living, because I'm still very aware of who I was. Man, you know who I was. Like dude, like there was no idea that I'd go from who I was that everybody knew as a teenager to the adult I am now. There is no way, and I still got a lot of work to do. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, if you would have known me then, you'd have been like, shit, good. Like there was no way. It was just that all the work that my dad was putting in, it was working, it was clicking, it was slowly clicking, and then eventually it just clicked. But my dad, for a long time, thought I was a lost cause. He definitely thought I was the lost cause among my siblings. He was like, that one, he probably ain't no telling what he's gonna do. So I understand
how we were about my oldest.
Yeah, with Morgan, with my old,
that boy ain't asked for $1
my daughter Morgan. There's no doubt that me and listen, everybody thought Morgan was going to be the most troubling, and I don't need her to see this because she gonna think she made it. She ain't made it. And if you see this, you ain't made it. You got work to do, damn it. But every person that knows Morgan, they're like, bro, that's the problem right there. Because the middle child gonna middle. This is what it is. But she has done things in a way that's admirable, and I'm proud to say that I'm glad she did them the way that she's doing them. My bookends are the ones I'm looking at like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? The bookends presented to us these ideal children. Yes, mom. Yes, dad. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. They presented the front, and they turn out to be the ones I'm like, who rate? Like, what is wrong with y'all? But I do think at a certain point, it will click for them too. My only worry is that it clicks and they went through some trial and error that just wasn't necessary. And as men, man, we just like, bro, like y'all don't have to go through that. Why do y'all gotta learn the hard way? Because the world teaches hard lessons. And for black men, black women get it too, but for black men, the lessons that the world are gonna teach you that black men want to prepare their sons for, when the world teaches them lessons, ain't no bounce back. And what Mark was speaking to with the feminine approach to things being so overwhelming, or so much more overwhelming than it has been in past decades, we're seeing the results of that everywhere. And it sucks. Like the products that are being turned out in a lot of ways sucks. The lack of competition and drive amongst young people sucks. The reason women the one that got that shit going on in schools, these participation trophies for everybody. And these kids suck. They're entitled. Their feelings are coddled. Everybody gets a blue ribbon for field day. Everybody. I asked, why do all these kids get blue ribbons? Well, everybody's a winner. No, my daughter just dusted that daughter's ass. Your kid sucks. My kid needs a blue ribbon. I want them to.
They don't even compete against each other.
They don't even compete.
They don't compete against each other no more.
Yeah, so we got to get back balance. The masculine, feminine balance has to get back to a certain point, because when it's overwhelming one way or another, it causes this pendulum to swing. And dude, Mark, I hate to say, in our lifetime, we probably won't see the balance. I don't know whose lifetime it'll happen in, but it won't happen in our lifetime.
No, man, you gotta control your own household, because
yeah, that's it.
You know, because ultimately, you know, unfortunately, like you say, in this culture, in this society, man, listen, I don't see marriage going up as far as the marriage rates anytime soon, especially not in our community. Especially not in our community, man. It's completely not worth it. It's just not.
That participation trophy thing, that didn't actually start in our community. By the way.
I don't care where it started.
No,
It started with
100%.
women. The one got it started. I know that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It was Karen's.
Yeah. Goddamn. I mean, look, hey,
call it what it is.
Yeah, definitely.
You remember when we were in high school, we took the graduation test. And when all those rich kids at the rich schools couldn't pass the science part back in the late 90s, that's when they changed the graduation test.
Yeah, absolutely right.
I remember taking that test. That test was hard, and I passed it from my little old urban school in the hood, even though I didn't live in the hood. But that's when all that stuff started to change in the late 90s, when they started making everything level, and they figured out the privileged kids were no longer getting above us regular folks. That's when the participation trophy stuff started.
Mm.
And then other people have capitalized on
that. What we have seen is we have seen influences outside of the Black collective affect the Black collective that have not been beneficial to the Black collective, which is why we're still a collective. I've always said that we need a couple of decades to be left alone, like just totally left alone, left figured out. And if we're totally left, it will be chaos at first, and then eventually it'll figure itself out because things right their own ship. If we left uninfluenced, we don't have anybody overwatching, overlooking. Because I have no doubt that you get the right men in place and the right women in place, the cream is gonna rise to the top if it's left alone. But soon as somebody from the outside come and stir the pot, the cream gets all over the place. Everything
that's not possible. That's not possible.
It might not be. It might not be possible.
The pipe dream sounds good, but
we
don't live in a vacuum, man. So we're living in a country that our ancestors helped build, but essentially it's not our country, and we don't have the power and the control. And so the fact is that they have the police state, and the fact that they have the police state takes the control away from the men of the community, and oftentimes puts it in the hands of the ladies, and just to be able to buck and challenge up against their men. So knowing that there's this government daddy over here that will come in and take care of things if things get out of control, which I'm not saying they should get out of control, but there, like you say, there should be a situation where we're left alone, but it's just not possible. So, and what happens is that, again, if you don't have that kind of ultimate power, then the ladies know they can buck and do whatever they want. That's what happens. That's what we have.
I think that if we want, listen, we had this conversation very early on. It's whether or not you want it. And I know this sounds crazy, but it almost is like you got to go be borderline cultist to say, you know what? I'm going to go set up shop over here, and we're going to do things our way, and everybody on the outside, we can leave. The only way you get left alone is when you tell somebody, one, leave me alone, two, I don't need your help.
No, that and military power.
But yeah.
I don't even think it has to be that drastic, though, to the point that I think what's more drastic is we have to be more conscious and more educated on what we need as a community. We have to be more community focused, period.
So what do we need?
We need to talk to each other more instead of being like if you look at the list of the cities with the largest Black populations, some of those cities have the most corrupt governments, because just because Black people are in power doesn't mean they're empowering Black people. And therein lies the problem. Because if you, even in my work now as a software engineer and being in a startup community, we have all of these Black venture capitalists out here, but they're still navigating venture capitalists like the white folks. So you're not actually helping. You're just putting a Black face on something, and you haven't moved the needle at all. That's the problem. You can have a Black mayor all day, but if you ain't helping the Black community, what are you actually doing? Well, I'm the mayor of everybody, so I have to help everybody.
What is helping the Black community would look like? I mean, what can a mayor do to help the Black community? Give me an example.
It could be making sure minority supplier diversity is actually working and actually working how it should be. There's a lot of nuance around that. You have a lot of city and county governments that are skirting the law on what that is, and they're just giving it to their friends. So the same 3 or 4 Black families are still in power, but the rest of the Black community that can actually benefit and be helped to be pulled forward is not getting any of that.
That's how the world works.
Hold on, wait, hold on. So there is one person. I don't know if everybody subscribes to this particular man. I do 100% because every group has used it and it works. It's almost empirically accurate. Dr. Claude Anderson and Powernomics and the structure in which it works is not a real debate, but it starts at one particular place. It starts with a man and a woman being a couple, and it starts there. And it starts with bringing your money back into your community. Then it starts with helping to employ your own. Then it goes to, once you have created this circulation inside your community money, it doesn't mean that everybody in your community works for everybody in your community. It means that everybody in your community, when they go get money, they bring it back into the community. What happens then, you can afford a power broker. If y'all don't know what a power broker is, if somebody doesn't know, and I'm not talking to y'all on the panel, I'm talking to people that might be listening. A power broker is an individual that goes into these spaces that has the gravitas, the access, and the means by which to go into spaces and say, this is what we want. A power broker tells people that we as Black people, we're a locked unit on a vote. And if we're going to give you this vote, no matter how small we are in this particular sector, if that vote's going to give you something, you guarantee us something back in return. You get something back. You don't cancel a motherfucker like Ice Cube when he says, I'm gonna sit down with both to see what we can get if we give them us. You don't. Who
canceled them? Who canceled?
No. It was Black. Dude, don't go there. I can go down my Facebook timeline, and it was 2 groups. It was Black people. It was a lot of people. It was men and women was telling him to sit down and shut the hell up. Period. I saw it.
I ain't see a whole bunch of dudes. I ain't see a whole bunch of dudes.
Okay, your Facebook.
Listen,
your Facebook timeline and mine is way different. It's way different. I'm saying I saw it on social media. What's his name? Busta Rhymes had to come out and actually speak to it toward a group. He didn't speak to women. He spoke to Black people in general. Like, y'all trying to cancel this man? Like, I'm saying it was a group mentality. I've had Black men tell me, I had a Black dude tell me, I don't block and unfollow many people. I had a Black dude tell me flat out that power dynamics and Black people could not work capitalism to their benefit. I fell out of that. His mind is so defeated with the idea of community building through what is available that he couldn't even reconcile. And they don't want to reconcile those things. I don't know what they want to reconcile. So I say all that to say that there's a way to do it. I personally, what only thing that discourages me is, are people going to do it? And I've asked people this. I've asked lawyers that I know. I've asked Black men that I know that are lawyers, and I'm not begrudging them and I'm not judging them. I said, bro, you ever thought about running for the attorney or what is it called? The district attorney? The district attorney?
Yeah.
And some have flat out said, no. Because I know people who've been in the system, worked as lawyers in the system, they said, I can't do it. I'm not built for that. But imagine if we just said, you know what, we got a DA. And all Black people are going to get behind this DA, and we put him in place. And then what happens if we say we're going to get the lead sheriff or whatever of whatever department and we're going to put him in place? And then what happens if we get the school district, whomever, superintendent, and we put them in place? What happens when we start putting all these people in place? We power broke them in place. At that point, the decisions that are made come directly from the people. But it doesn't come directly from the people when we don't fund them, when we don't find them, when we don't communicate with them, when we don't put them in place. When we just vote for them and say, we voted for you, we hope you do something for us because you look like us. That's not how it works. So we gotta tear it all down and really go. It really goes back to kind of what Mark said. Marriage has to become a thing again. Family has to become a thing again.
Well, I was about to say, I mean, because you're going, I think you're starting at a place that is not where we need to be starting from, which, you know, yeah, the economic part of it, of course, but we have a trauma issue. We have trauma, and we have we have a system that has allowed for, like you say, people to make decisions that don't benefit themselves and don't benefit our community. And those people make more babies than the people that make good decisions. And so how do you fix that? How do you fix that? How do you fix
I don't want to get blocked.
So hold on. How do you fix, you know, you'd have to fix like the marriage laws. You'd have to fix a bunch of stuff, man, because, you know, you can start all that. You can start family and do all this stuff. And then, you know, 10 years down the road, if she wants to divorce you for whatever reason, she can. And then the money is split. And all that is, you know what I'm saying, that there's no building. It's just splitting at that point. You're paying two rents and two
like that, like only women divorce.
Women divorce. Women do the majority of filing for divorce.
They do, but men have the option too.
But we don't. That's my point.
We don't have the option. Y'all just don't do it.
If y'all do it to the tune of 80%, we do it to the tune of 20%. Then guess what? That's 4 out of 5 divorces that would not occur if it were not for women deciding to divorce. And so,
right, but no, what I'm saying is, in the instance of marriage, if the marriage isn't working, women are just more likely to leave it than men, even though men know the marriage ain't working either.
But is that to the detriment of society or for the betterment of society, or is it just so that the woman could be a little more comfortable and could have a little more say-so in her household or whatever?
I would say I'm gonna answer that. I would say it's definitely to the detriment of society. It is. It's definitely to the detriment of society when the marriage doesn't work. I would also say to fix that, to kind of help that. Look, men, let's say something real quick, men. Please listen. Don't be fools. Do not sit there and look at spoiled milk sitting on the counter and put it back in the refrigerator and think when you open the refrigerator and pull out the spoiled milk, it's all of a sudden gonna be fresh. Men have to start getting in front of these situations because you have more control of the outcome when you're the first one. Our legal system, what does it do? Our legal system rewards those that are the accusers. It rewards prosecution more than defense. And if men don't start understanding that you want to be the prosecutor if you see it going left. Because guess what you get to do as a primary decision maker? You can go in there with your assets. You can start making moves and doing things. And you can move and maneuver things to a point where you can at least go forward and make something happen. It doesn't change that it's not a detriment to society. But what it does at least do, it doesn't leave the man totally crippled in the process, because then that man can at least move away from that for the next day and rebuild. He can at least rebuild. A man is very likely to rebuild if you leave him with some tools. A man's not likely to rebuild if you leave him destitute. You know what I'm saying? So men don't be ignorant. Don't be afraid of the court system. None of you, don't do it. I'm telling you now, every dude that I know, I get
it, but that's not the point. That's not what we was really talking about. We're talking about.
It's not the point, but at the same time, it's like men are feeling like they're not empowered. When a lot of time men just don't make the choice. Like they'll say, "Well, I'm a single dad and she don't pay nothing." Take that old take her to child support court.
Like simple.
I don't need her money. Sir, what is wrong with you? You better go.
How about we just promote a culture? I hate to say it, where you make a decision when you're young, you stick with that decision. Like how they used to do back in the day when we had community, when we had, kind of our own thing, when we were married to the tune of 80%.
Domestic violence.
I can go with that too.
Independence among women. Women couldn't even have bank accounts. Like then, that's what you want to go back to?
We was raising better kids. We had a better community. We had more morals. We had more shame. Yeah.
Grandpa and them still had 3 families across the street. So
you know what?
Those breakout.
What do we have now? What do we have now?
I do think.
What do we have now?
I do think we romanticize a bygone.
Romanticize is fine, but what do we have now?
We didn't have nothing then.
We ain't have much then. We have a little bit better now.
I don't know.
It's not optimal.
It seems to me like we were a much more presentable group back then. a 40-year-old man looked like a 40-year-old man. He wore slacks and shoes and stuff like that. These days, 4-year-old guys got on some Jordans and what I'm saying, this and that. They try to look like the young guys and all this type of stuff. It was just a different culture. Just a different culture back then. Our culture was just
Jordans.
Huh? I got Jordans too. I got Jordans too. But the point is that I still don't necessarily go out like dressing like a 20-year-old per se. You know what I'm saying?
Were we okay in survival mode? I would suffice to say we were not. Our community suffers from the traumas we have because of a lack of mental health, which was something that just was not talked about back then.
That's true. Listen, I'm not saying it was paradise and perfect, but what I'm saying is that were the inner workings better? Were the overall
community better? The sense of community was better. Listen.
Yeah, much better.
And I talked about this. And let's be
clear. That's
clear.
why you can have a Martin Luther King.
Now wait. And let's be clear. If we're not gonna have this, we're not gonna make this point halfway. We didn't just go from marriage and communities to not. There was a thing that happened between all these independent communities and none. What was that thing?
Us not being left alone.
Thank you.
Because when we were left alone, we had that. But when we were left alone, we were growing.
Thank you.
And they shut us down with the crack epidemic.
No. Before that.
No, way before the crack.
I'm going back to Tulsa, Wood, and everything else.
Oh yeah, Tulsa, you got all of that.
That was the moment. That was the moment where it's like, all right, let's shut it down and let's now implement something. And so that's why I say if we could be left alone, I personally think that us being left alone, it doesn't happen without certain there needs to be a certain nucleus for it to jump off. I don't know what that is. Y'all saw the post I made months ago. I don't know if you saw it. I tagged LeBron James, Kanye West. I tagged as many black billionaires, and I made a long post, and I told them, hey, and they didn't respond. And maybe they are going to respond. One day, I'm going to keep making posts, and I'm going to make a few lives, and I'm going to tag a few of them, and I'm going to see if somebody actually responds. But it would help for something to just jump off to where we can just gravitate to it. Because one thing you have to give a man before you ask a man to take care of a community and a family, he has to have the means by which to feed them. And then once a man can feed them, a woman is going to align with that man. He can at least choose the right woman to align with that man.
Who's feeding those guys that you tag, though? Who's feeding those guys that you tag?
I mean, they're being fed now, but
who's feeding them?
The capitalistic society. Don't get it.
The Rothschilds.
I get it. However, what I'm saying is they can invest.
I didn't just say that.
They can invest into something. Everybody has the resource. It's just whether or not you believe it will be something. It's just whether or not you believe it'll be something. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're the only ones that are so against taking our resources and we're the only ones that don't try to combine resources and do something with them.
Asian town in Chicago.
Everybody does it but us. Group economics. Everybody practices group economics. And I'm not saying all of us, not all of us. I know Marcus, you're a different dude. I know Sam. I'm not talking about us five here. I'm just talking about as a collective group economics.
Why not? Why don't we?
I'm game. Let's do it.
They don't trust.
Why don't?
No, you understand? Why don't we?
Yeah, why don't we support
you guys a whole?
No, he said why us five can't do
No. He's talking about
No. That's not what I'm asking. Why it's five? I'm asking why doesn't our community practice better group economics?
They don't. Every time I've asked somebody this question that's actually in this field and actually doing it, they say one thing and one thing constantly. When you create a group, a lot of black people don't trust anybody to take the direction and lead and do what they're supposed to do. The number one thing is trust. The second thing is vision. Those are the two things that every single time I have this conversation, you can read all the books on it, and all of them start saying you got to have the right person, y'all got to trust that person, and then y'all got to have the same vision. It's too many rogues. It's too many chefs in the kitchen. If we all got $100,000 and this man right here says, all right, everybody give me 100,000 to buy in. This is what I'm gonna do with it. Here's the paperwork. I'm being as transparent as possible. I'm gonna bust a move. This is the plan. And everybody says we agree. All it takes is one of us to then say, how long you say it's gonna take to get that money? How long you say it's gonna take? 7 years? Hey, man,
but that's a throwback of survival mentality. We have too many people in our community that are so focused on the right now that they're not looking for the future. Like, even for me, I tell women all the time, I'm like, look, instead of focusing on, well, I need this child support, how about you tell that man, go get some whole life insurance, use that money and get whole life insurance policies for this kid. Because I already make good money. I don't actually need it for the household. So that little extra change coming in, it's a quote unquote reimbursement. I don't need no reimbursement. Go get
most
some whole
women don't make good money though. Most women don't make good money.
That's fine. But kids don't necessarily increase the bills of the house. They increase the expenses of the house. That's different.
Well, one in the same, so, 6 and 1, half a dozen.
No, wait, hold on.
But again,
the fact that
you have to think long term. Because once that child is 18 years old, a $500,000 policy, they now have about $70,000, $80,000 in cash value that they can pull from. But we're so used to, I gotta have it now. I gotta have these dollars on IG to show y'all I got this money, instead of stacking that paper and just letting it build.
Hold on. Gilbert Arenas was on the other day, and he broke down his child support payments. You know, he's a former basketball player, and he was on, I ain't gonna say the dude's TV network because I don't want to shout him out. Not that I'm big enough to get anybody in the pool, but he was on a network that I don't want to verbally support. And so he was breaking down child support and all these women that have athletes and billionaires and millionaires, and they, you know, all the baby mamas of the millionaires, right? Some ex-wives, right? And he's talking about child support. And he said, these women touch millions in child support. And almost never is that child a millionaire at 18. He said those women could take a little less, put that into a trust, and create a whole generation of millionaires with the child support. Here's the thing here's what I want y'all to think about. Those women touch millions, and they don't make the children millionaires.
Yep.
Well, I mean,
my children have to be richer than me. They just have to.
And
you know what I'm saying?
I mean, if you give me $1 million, does that mean that the kid's supposed to be a millionaire? If you give me $1 million and I'm in charge of taking care of this kid, and this kid has to go to a private school because they're, you know, a famous person's kid, and they have to have this and they have to have that, and they have to have all these lifestyle things. It is what it is, man. I don't ever begrudge.
They
have to have lifestyle things.
They don't have to have all of that. And that's the problem. Black folks are thinking about having the lifestyle stuff now.
No, but they're not going to school with black folks. They're mostly going to school with white folks.
And that's
fine. The white folks that they're going to school with is just like anything else. If your peer has a red hat, you want to have at least a blue hat or a black hat or some type of hat too. And so, you know, they gotta, if they're in those circles, then they kind of, it's a little more expensive to operate in those circles. See, we're thinking from our middle class mentality, but that's not how it works when you get into those.
I don't give a damn how it works. It's not working. It's not working.
You should still be able to
working. It's not working. It's broke. It's broke.
That's a very small. You're talking about an exceptionally small group of people, Manuel. Like
I am.
This isn't like something that's gonna like fix the community or anything like that.
I'm not saying it. I'm saying it's a mentality that it's a mentality that's pervasive throughout, and the mentality has to change. Like she said whole life. I'm talking about on the small level, whole life would work. I'm talking about on the top end. They won't even funnel the millions that they touch for them. You see that on the extremes of both ends, people are not thinking long term. That's the point. The long term thinking,
right? That's it.
And look, I know somebody who thinks. I know you think long term. You wouldn't be in the gym. You wouldn't do what you do if you wasn't thinking long term.
Yeah, but I mean, the actions that you take have to actually be effective. So, I mean, I hear, you know, I don't that cash value thing. I don't know about that, but I'm gonna let it slide right now.
Boy, you missing out.
You crazy.
And having a fully functioning LLC and the tax system, baby. When I tell you I ain't paid taxes in at least 20 years,
dude. Listen, I'm gonna tell you now.
I learned the game.
I won't put our business out there. I won't. But we've recently sat down for our kids and ourselves to do it. And I will only say this. I wish I would have done it
sooner.
15 years ago.
Yep.
I wish I would. And here's the crazy thing.
So I sold insurance, guys, and I'm here to tell you that there are policies to where you could build up a significant amount of cash value, this, that, and the third, but it's never more than what you put in. It's never more than what you put in. And so ultimately, you know, yeah, life insurance has its place or whatever, but it's not necessarily like this vehicle that is to be used to, you know, generate money or, you know what I'm saying, tuck money away per se unless
it's not just the policy, it's the other things that you can do with the policy.
Yeah, and it's
like
it's
what?
not just the policy alone, it's a whole process.
Wait. And it's
borrow against it. Is that it? That's all you're talking about? Being able to borrow against the policy?
It's a little bit more than that.
We're talking about whole life policies, right?
Yes.
I'll let it slide. We can keep it moving.
I'm saying
start of a process. It doesn't.
What I'm saying is, it's not that it's the vehicle. It's a vehicle amongst multiple. It's no different than if I say, I wish that I had invested in annuities and mutual and some of these things and REITs more so. I do it now, and it does okay now. I just wish I had.
Yeah, if you'd have done it when you was 20, then you know that compound, the power of compound interest would be crazy. I get it. But I'll say this, right? Aside from the rich folks and stuff like that, the problem, like you say, is pervasive in our community. It's the poor people. They're the ones that go out and buy polo and all this stuff. I mean, and they worship that stuff. You know what I'm saying? They're the ones that save up their whole check to buy a Gucci belt and stuff like that. How do we get that out of our culture? That's the issue.
It go again. It's survivalist thinking. And it's because people haven't been able to see past their own experiences enough to see other people do well. They may see that one person that made it out and come back. Well, I could never do that. But what about the 20 other people that actually made it, but they never come back to their community? So these kids never actually see it. We have to be the change we want to see.
And we need therapy as a culture. We need therapy as a community.
This is true.
Because let's be clear, we are not too far removed from people in our own age group couldn't think past living to, like, if you made it to 25 at one point in the Black community, that was a blessing. There was dudes who never thought that they would see 30. And some of those dudes are now men that are walking around that are 50. And when you talk to them, they're like, bro, I didn't plan for this because I didn't think I would see this because a lot of people in my bubble didn't see this. So I don't know what to do now because I'm 50 and I only plan to be 20 because I thought I was going to be, you know what I'm saying? So I think that survivalist mentality and that short-term thinking is cultural, and we need some therapy in there. And we need Chanel and Frank to get on in here with some ideas. We community building.
It's getting a little late. Look, I'm looking at Frank over there. He keeps tapping out. I ain't said that yet, but he done tapped out a couple times. But you know, he probably got them long days going. He got the 4 teenagers in there.
Them 4 teenage girls.
Man, I feel like when I think back on history, the common denominator that kept us a tight-knit community was that we had a common enemy, and that was blatant racism. We knew that systemic racism, Jim Crow, was our enemy. We could lay our eyes on what the enemy was. So we had a common goal: get rid of this enemy. So we moved together as a unit, as a community, to fight this enemy. When integration came, what I call it infiltration, because it didn't happen without them folk knowing that they'll get something. They'll get more than what we were getting. You know what I'm saying? And that's more control. You know what I'm saying? You can't control what the neighbor doing in his house from your house. But when you invite yourself into the neighbor's house, or invite the neighbor into your house, well, rather, if you invite the neighbor into your house, then you can control what happens. You can control that neighbor's movement in your house. So, and also I feel like once there was some symbol of relief when the restraints were lifted a little, black folk was like the contents in the Sprite bottle, and when you shake it up and take the top off, gone. So once they were able to, with redlining causing the government to take or prevent our communities from gaining access to government funding, government funds, which created ghettos and projects and all this. So once black people, the few that did start to earn money, was able to, they left the conditions that redlining created to go outside of those red lines and integrate into the more established neighborhoods that were funded better, which were white neighborhoods. So that's taking a chunk of the economics that that our grandparents, great grandparents were able to build, took it over to the white communities, because they had better communities, better education, and started mixing that money in with them, which was a win for Jim Crow. Well, not Jim Crow, but white folk that was like, let's let them integrate, a little bit, what I'm saying, or give them the illusion of integration. So ever since then, we've been in shambles. So what's the common enemy now? What is something that we can all agree on that's a detriment to us as a whole? And because as long as there's a group that feels like, hey, I'm chilling,
right?
You might get hit over the head by the police, but they ain't over here in my neighborhood.
Right. I
make it home every day. So if it's like, we have those people that's not directly affected by racism. Like myself, I've been in Georgia my whole life, 40 years, and I've never experienced blatant racism. I'm fortunate enough to say that. And there are other people that are fortunate enough to say that, but because of their own experiences, they discount other people's real life experience that has that have dealt with blatant racism. So because they haven't dealt with it themselves, they feel like it doesn't exist. So it's a ghost enemy, like whatever. That's not real. Because in my experiences, white people good to me. I have white friends. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a small piece of our disconnect as a community. So,
I was gonna say another piece is there's another percentage that's looking for acceptance in spaces that aren't looking to expand in that way. So it's like they're chasing, you got that group of people that love being the first black everything. And it's like that first black is not getting old. Why are we forcing ourselves in the same spaces that you have to even go that extent to be a part of? Like, why is that even a thing still?
Right.
Emotional, that emotional fix. Like y'all remember Holly Berry and Monsters Ball? Y'all remember what she said when she let Billy Bob run her down? Y'all remember that moment, what she said? I just
I
want
just
to
want
feel
to feel
good.
good.
I just want to feel good. And it was Billy Bob Thornton. You want to feel good. You know what I'm saying? And that's just an example of how I think our community feels. Again, with all that trauma and everything, sometimes we just want to feel good. And I argue up and down social media, and I'm like, okay, that felt good. What they just did represented an emotional, it filled an emotional void for you. What else?
Mm-hmm.
What next? What else? And then they tear me up. They tear me up in the comments every time I say, what else? Oh, so you need something. I say, yeah, something tangible, something objective. What else? Oh, it ain't all about getting something objective. Well, it ain't all about something. We want to just feel good. Remy, if you see this, if we don't want to get, it's okay for us to just feel good. Y'all been feeling good for the last 20 years. So why we still need to just feel good? Man, it's getting late. Everybody nodding. Everybody blinking.
I'm about to say.
Chanel.
I be in the bed.
You done did about 3 shows.
I'm struggling.
You have to top these up.
Man, this one, it was not, man, it was not supposed to go this long, man. I mean, I do like the conversation about Black community, man. Like that is I'm gonna actually probably edit this and separate the Black community dialogue from some of the early dialogue to make that something in and of itself, man, because like that's part of the conversation that more people need to tune into, weigh in on, and we got to have more of those. And it's best to have a bunch of ideas, like a bunch of ideas, because if somebody's gonna say something that I ain't heard of or I ain't thought of, and everybody wants it to be better. I don't think nobody wants it to get fucking worse. Like as bad as the outlook might be, I don't think nobody's sitting there like, well, I hope it's worse tomorrow than it was today.
I just want us to stop being men versus women. Like we all need each other.
I'm so sick of that.
I need y'all to be quiet. I'm just
playing. Some of us do need to be quiet. I agree. I don't.
It ain't gonna get no better, Shafi, because we just have a lot of masculine energy coming from women these days. It's just, it is what it is, and it ain't gonna get no better. Like I don't see it changing.
Speaking up for oneself is not necessarily masculine energy, by the way.
That's not what I said.
I'm just saying, because a lot of people think, well, because
it's a straw man argument, though.
You know what? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna come on here and celebrate masculine men and feminine women for a segment of this mug. Because one thing I don't believe in is constantly complaining about the lack. Because sometimes the good needs to be acknowledged, like the Black men that are fathers, the Black men that are husbands, the Black men that are in the community, the Black men that are grinding, hustling, these, that, and the third. The Pookies and Ray Rays get all the acknowledgement. Humanity, we love to acknowledge the negative, and it's because the negative stands out, and that's just our nature. I get it. But we got to make conscious efforts to acknowledge the positive. So it's like, okay, it exists. Like that feminine woman is sitting right there. She exists. That masculine man sitting right there, he exists. You know what I'm saying? Nothing annoyed me more in the dating game was when I was dating and a woman asked me, did I have my own damn place? And they would always double down. They would double back and say, well, who do you live with? I live with myself, and my children have a place.
But the reason they would ask that is because they would run into enough of those situations.
I know, but bro, I was delusional, bro. Remember, when I came out of marriage, I thought everybody that was a grown person had a place of their own that they can call home if they were dating. I didn't think grown people were so bold as to date and be borderline homeless or roommates. I didn't know that was a thing.
They literally had a little trash bag of clothes and a little pit bull in the cage.
I wish that would have been me. I wish I would have experienced that just to say I did, so I can say I got.
Hey, but I think we need to define masculinity and femininity, because I think the two words have been thrown around so much now that the meaning of it, or the original meaning of it, is lost on the masses. Right. Because when I see when men say, well, they say, well, that's a masculine woman. they're pointing at the fact that she has a job or she has a career.
No. Pointing at how
that's
she
what
moves,
No, there's a
saying.
lot of men
how
who
she
do.
talks, how she walks, when she says stuff like "bruh."
No,
You know,
but
that type of
that
stuff.
may
an
not be your
aspect of it, but
experience,
that's not
Marcus, but
all.
there's literally men out here who do that. Like,
Who
because
do
I
what?
have a degree, I'm a masculine woman.
I mean, if you say so, I don't think that. I don't think that.
No, they're out
Mm,
here.
They're there.
There's a
So
viral post going around right now that's pretty much saying a woman with a job is not feminine. Like
I mean,
it's,
you
it's
had
longer
Kevin
than that,
Samuels
but
a
in
say a
woman
woman.
essence,
with
like
a
it basically
masculine
says,
job, a
What's
woman
a
with a
masculine
masculine
job?
job most of the time is not feminine. So
What's
if
a
that woman,
masculine job?
if that woman, so in other words, I used to compliment my boss all the time. I doubt that she'll ever see this podcast, right? But she was she had the most incredible balance when it came to being able to be the boss and do everything that she needed to do as far as boss stuff goes, but then also just exude this really, really awesome femininity in the way that she did it. And so I don't really know how to explain it, but you know, there's just a way that even you can still work, you can still be the boss and this and that, and still be very feminine.
I see what Marcus is getting at. Marcus is getting at
our women
I
embrace
do it every day.
their masculine energy.
Wait, hold on. Mark, I see what you said. You're talking about an actual observation. You're talking about the actual. Forget what people are saying. You're not talking about what people are saying. The ladies
Yeah, I
are
don't
talking
care about what the paperwork and the stats and this and that and the third.
Yeah. You're talking about what your observation. Yeah, you're talking about
look
the
how she walks,
observation
how she talks, how she
versus
moves,
what the men. Yeah, versus what the men are saying. Because there are men that are saying certain things are feminine. You're talking purely about the observation.
Listen. I'll give you a quick little thing, right? So, you know, a few weeks back, right? Went out, met this young lady. She was close to my age, and she was a nurse, right? And so, you know, decent job or whatever. Super masculine. Now she looks very feminine. She makeup looks nice and everything looks nice. Hair, boots, nice. Everything's great. But she started talking and she's like, "Yeah, you know, I just want to be able to date a guy, and you know, when we're dating, we're just doing our thing. But then, you know, when I'm doing my thing, I could just do my thing." It's like, that's what a dude would say. Like, you sound like a dude. I told her that. You know what I'm saying? You sound just like a dude. Like, that's not how you're supposed to sound. So it's like, if you're looking for a dude,
how is she supposed to sound? How is she supposed to sound? Give us an example.
Well, it's feminine to want to have a man that is your man, and you know, you ain't necessarily dealing with other guys and this, that, and the third. Most you know, feminine, submissive ladies. I'm sorry.
So poly is only masculine, basically.
Listen, if you're poly and you're dealing with multiple guys, that's a masculine-ish.
See, well, why you didn't say this in the poly discussion back then? Why you didn't say this in the poly discussion?
I had to warm up, man. I was coming into the middle school game and I was frazzled dazzled a little bit. I was hungry. I had to eat real quick.
He said that's a masculine.
I done ate a little bit. You know, my 25-year-old I'm dating, she had dinner ready when I came home. You know what I'm saying? So that type of stuff. So, you know, I was able to come home.
Wait. You know 30-years do that, right? You know 40-years do that.
Listen, my ex did that. My ex did that. But she also had something to say when I came home too sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It was just a different energy. Right? The 25-year-old greet me with this kiss and all this energy, and she's in her lingerie and she's looking good and all this stuff. And the 40-year-old is gonna be like in her, like, you know, like her little jammies type stuff with a bonnet on, and you know what I'm saying? She gonna give you a kiss when you get in. She be like, "Hey," you know what I'm saying? Something like that. When last time you got a kiss when you got in the house? No cap zone. No cap zone.
It's
wait, what?
For me, it's not every day, but it is often enough for me to not complain about. But it's not something that I necessarily need. But it's something that she wants to give.
Does she want to see?
Hold on. I took my earpiece out. What did you ask? What did you ask, Mark?
I was asking. I said no cap zone. When's the last time you came home and as soon as you walked through the door, she was jumping on you and greeting you with a kiss?
Oh, that's every day.
Well, you're newly married. You're newly married.
Well, no, wait, hold on. I would say this. Now.
And your lady is your lady is several years younger than you as well.
A few, but I would say this. Hold on, let me be clear. The one thing my last marriage taught me is I knew coming into this what I did not want and what I would not tolerate. So there were certain things I vetted so thoroughly as to where they wouldn't be issues. Because what you're saying is I do not walk in my house and don't want to be greeted. Like now, if I walk in the house or if she walks in the house, like we greet each other, period. I'll go, there's no walk in the house and we just sitting there, no, none of that. You greet, you hug, you kiss, you greet. Now, but I know what you're saying. There are men, I know of you personally, I don't think they're going to watch this. I know men that do literally complain that, bro, I walk in my own house and I might as well be a leaf that just blew in through the front door. The dog is the only thing that greets me. You know what I'm saying? The kids might say something, but the woman is doing, and I'm just like, that's a sad existence. How do you fix that? You vet for that shit. I mean, age might have something to do with it, but I think you vet for that shit.
Or it could be,
I can't say
was doing that and you ain't appreciated it and she stopped.
Wait, what you say, Seven?
It could be a point where she used to do that and you didn't appreciate it, so she stopped.
Or you can just be dealing with a lady that's a little bit older. She just ain't got time for all that. She just don't care. She's not as interested. She's just not as excited. She's just not.
Being not as interested and excited comes from you not putting in that back.
Not true.
That's not true. I want to say to Sheffy's point, there was a time where my wife said that she wanted us, like she was like, you know, when you leave for work, I want you to kiss me, you know, and when you come home from work, I want you to, you know, when you come in, I want you to greet me with a kiss, whatever. That's not something that I was used to doing because my late wife, she didn't really require. She wasn't. My late wife wasn't like a girly girl. You know what I'm saying? So she wasn't that affectionate, but she was affectionate. But she wasn't like clingy affectionate. So wait a minute. The food's done. Thank you. I'm coming. See this man.
See?
So then you kind of muted.
Well, you better not get in trouble tonight, boy.
No, that's my daughter.
Okay.
So when I you know got married again, I wasn't accustomed to the outright affection. You know what I'm saying? So but my wife was. Getting back to Sheffy's point, because I wasn't used to it, I wasn't initiating it. So because I wasn't initiating it or reciprocating, I say I wasn't reciprocating. Then my wife she fell back from it. So I had to, you know, and when I realized, I was like, oh hell, I fell off. So I had to start initiating it to get her jump started again. So now when I come home, you know, my wife, she works from home. She get off. I'm sitting at her desk now. She gets off at 6:30. So by the time I get back, she's still, you know, on the computer or whatever, or on the call or whatever. But she'll still mute the mic and you know, raise her head and give me a kiss, and I go on about my way, you know, just settling in and all that stuff. So it does happen at, you know, answering Mark now. So I do get greeted. So I don't get stone faced unless I done pissed off in the text message or something. So it does. I don't think there's a certain age group attached to people being people that's not affectionate. You know what I'm saying? Or it's so just
y'all are taking it as great affection. What the energy that I was more so trying to describe. Might not have done a great job, but the energy I was trying to describe was more so of a light effervescence. Okay, so it's not necessarily just the act or the, you know, the this got done or whatever. It's just everything that the energy that comes with it, you know. I get it. It's just different. And plus, you know, me and this young lady, we've been dating for a few months or whatever. So, you know, hey, it may not be that way years on down the line or whatever.
What are you talking about?
For me, if I'm really into a guy, he gonna get the best of me every time he sees me, period. If I am into him, every time he sees me.
That's a big if. That's a big if.
No, it's not a big if. Because all it takes for most men is to keep that same energy. That same energy you came and got me with, I'm gonna need you to keep that same energy. And it's literally that simple. I don't ask guys to take me on expensive dates, no, none of that. My best date that I've ever had with my husband, we had a pack of hot dogs on some bricks in the backyard, like cooking hot dogs at 3 o'clock in the morning. Best date I ever had. It's not about the money spent or anything. It's about the time and the effort and just making me feel safe. Mentally, emotionally safe. To where I can embrace my entire femininity without having to check behind you. If a man comes into a relationship and does that from the beginning and keeps that same energy, he king. All that rubbing feet, food cooked, whole nine, every day.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Yo,
well, I'm about to be out. Y'all can debate on.
we could table this for next week. We could table this for next week.
We have to get back to this. It's late. Everybody yawning. I appreciate y'all coming out tonight. We're gonna say good night, but man, y'all need to kiss. Y'all go ahead and kiss.
Seth, you ready? You ready?
No.
Come on over here.
My heart is reserved for somebody else. I don't do that.
All right, y'all have a good night.
All right, y'all.
All right, man. Peace. All right.